Terrible news, guys. All this exciting news coverage. And I think I may have yelled myself hoarse. I know, finally, I'm I'm getting the change I always wanted. No, my throat's a bit sore. I'll live. It will be a short stream, though. I've been streaming pretty consistently, but I do have some stuff to do later today. I'll try my best. What's up? Doing voice training? Yeah, sure. What is this? Yes, I saw the Matthew Miller interview. Looking sharp. Yeah, I'm cycling through all my camp collar shirts. Will you stream later again? Maybe. All right, everyone, let's get through our rage-inducing bullshit. Top of the hour. What do we got?
These that I'm sorry, I'm just trying to do this and keep the microphone up before it gets really loud.
I don't know why I'm looking at the clip of a live streamer, but the point is being delivered nonetheless.
Start firing again. These are what people in the crowd have been firing at the ground. Those cause some of the explosions.
What?
Like a foam thing. You can smell the explosive on it. That causes the police to immediately respond.
What?
Charge. And we've seen a lot of people fall. We actually, our shot was down for a couple minutes here because we were running a little bit out of breath. Just because you have to get away from them. They just start running.
What are those?
Start firing a lot.
Wait, does anybody know what those are?
Yeah. And there was an arrest back there that now I can't see. But when they're
people are firing rubber bullets. No, a CNN correspondent on the scene is picking up the remains of police less lethal ammunition and saying that they were explosives the crowd threw into the police. So just lying? Yes. Retardation or agitation, call it. Dude, you past a point, you have to acknowledge what it is. They know they're lying. They are paid to lie. It is literally state propaganda. They do it everywhere else. Why wouldn't they do it here? This one's pretty bad, though. The particularly egregious to, like, just look at the fucking evidence of, like...
I'm going to give you another second.
The protester were...
I'm going to give you another second to catch your breath. Stay with us. But
what are those?
A second to catch your breath. John Miller.
Those are foam ammunition?
Dusk.
Somebody has to know what they actually are, though.
This is often...
They're 40mm rubber rounds. The blue one, but what are the smaller ones? I think it's just like the bottom of that thing.
It's going to become the issue for law enforcement.
What?
What do you think is happening right now?
Well, they've done a very good job of...
Where the fuck...
Okay, I don't know why this is a live stream clip. I didn't realize I was looking at a live stream clip. Cinemarxism, Brett, thank you. CNN is pretty dumb, but this is bad. The reporters are given the objective when they are sent out to lie to cover the police favorably. If anything, the frustrating thing is the fact that, like, unlike the, you know, big conspiracy books or whatever, it's not some nefarious, you know, well-coordinated, orchestrated plan or anything. It's just fucking stupid, you know, on every level. It's like an insult. Whatever.
The chaos unfolding in LA is sending shockwaves across the globe. Our very own US correspondent Lauren Tomasi was caught up in the mayhem, shot with a rubber bullet. Take a look.
I heard about
hours
this.
of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
You just shut the You okay?
Like, for example, when the BBC reported this as reporter caught in the crossfire, that wasn't because the BBC reporter was stupid. That was because they're a liar.
Doesn't matter how many times you watch it, right? Lauren joins us live now from LA. Lauren, I mean, I think we were all so shocked and so deeply troubled by what happened to you yesterday. How are you feeling this morning?
Morning, Sarah and Carlos. I'm good, thank you. I have a bit of a bloody big old bruise.
Did he think they stopped filming? No, police officers just correctly assume they'll never get in trouble for doing stuff like this.
And it's a little bit sore, but I am all okay, thank you.
Hey, can you talk us through just, you know, it was obviously, it's been a big couple of days, but it seemed to me that escalated. And talk us about to what happened before and then during it after.
Yeah, I mean, we were reporting on the Today Show all morning the situation on the ground in downtown LA. My cameraman Jimmy and I had started by that detention centre in downtown LA, and there was, you know, a few skirmishes here and there and a little bit of chaos moments as we went throughout the morning, but it was about 5 o'clock local time when there were suddenly just thousands of protesters on the streets of downtown LA, and we felt that presence of the LAPD and law enforcement really ramp up. Jimmy and I went live. We were doing a cross into the program. And police started pushing their way up the street. They'd begun firing tear gas canisters and those rubber bullets, and we moved onto the sidewalk and really tried to stay out of the way. What you saw, that report, was at the end of that live cross. We'd moved off to the side of the road. We were at the side of police. I had my back to those LAPD officers. I was really focused on the camera and, you know, finishing that report, telling what was happening. Yeah, and I got hit. Jimmy scooped me up and we made our way out of there as quickly as possible. It
got
hit. Of a shock.
Oh, I mean, it's a tremendous shock, Lauren, and you were just doing your job, right? And we've been in awe of your coverage for the past few days and how incredibly difficult those circumstances are for you. We know it was tense. I mean, those circumstances that you found yourselves in for that report specifically seemed to be somewhat calmer, and then all of a sudden, you know, he turned and fired at you. It just seems so out of place and so bizarre. Have you managed to, has there been any explanation? Have you been able to sort of gain any intel on how that happened, why that happened?
No, I mean, where we were standing, it felt like things had calmed down a little bit after that big, you know, chaos of moving up the street, and we'd found a moment where police were still standing off there, but you know, it had calmed for a moment. The police were standing still, and that is why we stepped off to the side. We weren't in a group of protesters or anything. We were with other media. I think you can see a cameraman walk behind me in the middle of that shot. So, look, we were doing our best to report what was happening from the scene in the safest way we possibly could. And Jimmy and I were listening to everything the LAPD had been saying to us.
But also, you're balancing a lot there, and you've also got protesters who are furious with you.
Who? I have not seen anybody. I have not seen any lefties on Twitter. Who? What? Sorry, this guy's shock collar activated, and it's time for more consent manufacturing.
And for the most part, over the last couple of days, I've seen you in every circumstance be calm and talk to these people. You've also been fearlessly unbiased. So that's reporting both sides of it, and then out of the blue you get lined up.
Yeah. So the reason why he's saying this is because he doesn't want to be accused of anti-police bias.
Is that how? I mean, you're loath to. I know you. You're loath to be part of this story, but in a way you are, and it's going to have reaction and ramifications across America. That's how bad.
He's saying, "Listen, you know our job is to cover the police favorably, but unfortunately, as a consequence of what the police did to you, this looks pretty bad for the police."
The situation is in LA right now.
Look, I feel embarrassed, quite frankly. I really don't want to be the story.
And she picks up on the messaging there. Yes, no, I get it. This was all unintentional. A journalist getting fired at by police for literally no reason, caught on video, the sadism of the police with no excuse. This isn't my job. My job is to sit there and dispassionately cover things in a neutral way that actually, you know, reflects positively for the police. I didn't mean to reveal unintentionally any, you know, anything sinister about the police.
Part of this, we were just on the ground trying to do our job. I was there, you know, Jimmy and I were doing our best to bring to Australia what is unfolding on the streets of LA. And
why is an Australian news agency concerned with the optics of criticizing American police? Buddy, they're all on the same team.
It's a really unfortunate thing that has happened, and I think, you know, as a journalist, we want to be there telling the story. I think, you know, it's a really crappy thing that's happened, but I really don't want to be the story here. It is.
So don't focus on it, guys. Don't focus on it. I know that like a bunch of international attention's been drawn to this obvious instance of police brutality, from which the only possible conclusion is a condemnation of the behavior of the LAPD. But I didn't go there to condemn the LAPD. That would be, in fact, the opposite of my job. So please, just move on past it. Don't think about it too much. Don't worry about it too much. Okay? Come on, guys. This isn't my job. As a journalist, my job is not, in fact, there to show you. I'm not going there to show you the truth. You're not getting an insight into the dark heart of the behavior of the police at these protests. Move on.
You know, a really chaotic situation that's unfolding in Los Angeles.
I mean, Lauren,
the chaos that's unfolding. Neutral language. Well, not even neutral. Nobody talks like this unless they're talking about the behavior of the protesters.
got so much grace, and as Carl said, we know that about you, and none of us ever want to be the story. You want to be reporting on the facts and what's unfolding in front of you, and you do that so well, and you've brought that to our audiences.
If you don't think, by the way, that this isn't a massive fucking psyop, can you explain to me why they're talking like this? Under what circumstances would a reporter getting shot by the police for no reason be covered with like, hey, listen, we know you're normally a really good reporter. Normally stuff like this doesn't happen to you. Does anyone have any non-conspiratorial explanation for this? Because there is none. You do not hate the regime enough, man.
Except for days now, and we take our hats off to you because you've been doing an incredible job. And yeah, just the way that officer turned and pointed at you and targeted you with your back to him. I mean, it's unforgivable. And we really feel for you.
Okay, letting a little through. Okay.
And, you know, we thank you for your grace, frankly.
Lauren, you're going to be part of this story now ongoing. Do you have any reservations?
I mean...
Reservations? She got shot. What the fuck are you talking about, man? What the fuck are you? Such weird, evil, alien corporate media shit. You're all co-workers. She should come on here and these two should be like, Cole fucking blimey, that guy shot you. Are you all right? That looked awful. I don't know. That was close enough to an Australian accent. That like they should, this like weird, like hushed whispers. Normally this doesn't happen. This sort of thing isn't supposed to happen. That's British. I don't fucking care.
And I think that it's so important that, you know, journalists are out there doing our job, and we've got to keep on doing that. It's, you know, no journalist wants to be the story, and certainly I...
Well, I must have, my definition of journalism must be different. I'm sorry, I guess I'm working off of some like obsolete definition. I'm so sorry for getting shot by the police, you know? Famously, in history, journalists have never made big stories out of their involvement in police brutality or government corruption or impropriety. That's just normally, listen, okay? The reporter should stay out of the story. That's what reporting is, after all.
I hope that, you know, we can move on from that and, you know, focus what is...
Move on from the story? Literally, like, Jesus Christ, like, there's like a big flashing sign in the studio saying, remember your jobs. Absolutely psycho, and let's just, yeah, the totally normal thing to agree upon after something like this happens, and we all agree to move on. Let's just move on and put this behind us. It's just, doesn't it fill you with, like, sadness and rage? So many people are being radicalized off the video of her being shot, but they basically dragged her here at gunpoint and said, you know your job. You know who you serve. Now apologize. Apologize for making the nice police officer look bad. And she did. And she is.
Is unfolding, you know, throughout America.
Do we know the political leaning of this outlet? Capitalist.
It's a really tense situation at the moment. The sense on the ground is so tense. And, you know, I just want to move on, and I will get back out there and keep on reporting it.
All right, good on you, Lauren. It's good to talk to you. And Look, speak for yourself when you say you don't want a bit of story.
This is more to do with journalistic integrity than anything else. I've worked in Know with PJs for years, and I completely understand where she's coming through. She doesn't want to be the story. I get it. No, this is journalistic malpractice that in a real sane world would lead to her being fired and working at a TJ Maxx. Absolutely not. As a journalist, your job is to expose the truth. Your job is to reveal information. Your job is not to be one of like drone number 7,000 sent to a scene of civil unrest so you can give the same terse, teeth-clenched, fake neutrality tone that you give all police interactions while watching like the fucking door close on democracy in America. Something actually happens that drives real attention both to your outlet and to you as a reporter, and what do? You sit there and apologize like a good little dog while your co-anchors say, well, you know, just normally you're a good one. Like normally things don't happen to you that reveal how bad the police are. It's okay. She'll be better next time. Jesus fucking Christ. Journalism really is dead.
You know, happy to be the story. Any day of the week.
Guys, I do have to tell you, though, I've had some lovely people reach out, and one of the phone calls I didn't expect to get today was actually from the Italian consulate. Ciao, Lauren. Tomasi, you might have gathered, is actually an Italian name. And yeah, so the Italians have checked in on me, which was a really lovely moment. So.
That's great.
Was he asking if you were single or something? You know the Italians, they always see an angle.
Oh, that's I appreciate a bit of personality being injected when it comes to ethnic stereotyping. That's not a joke. I do. No sense of humor about the whole like cops firing at the protester. Interesting. It's almost like they're looking for a moment of levity after a tense situation that they were forced by management to navigate in a way that seemed inhuman. Seriously, just basic psychology here. Italian? Sexual harassment. Haha. They're trying to break the tension. They know they've got a gun to their temple.
He offered you some tiramisu at the very least.
Asking me out for some pasta.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Hey, job
incredible,
well done.
Just basic read. Basic read. This station isn't owned by Murdoch, but it's owned by another billionaire asshole, James Packer. It's not even about who owns it. Like that's like a top level reading. Basically, all media in the West is like this, with very few exceptions. Local, national, whether or not it's directly owned by Murdoch or whatever, I mean, that's a giveaway, right? That's a dead tell. But like, even if they're not owned by private equity or some like mega conglomerate that eats up all of these smaller channels, you know, they toe the line. And the reason they toe the line, and I bet you this, okay? You know why? Because every local and national news station has contacts within the police that they use to short track their work. How much easier is it to get the inside scoop when you know the police chief and the police union and they're on favorable terms with you, okay? So you cover the police favorably, they make your job easier. If you're a reporter from some news rag that doesn't treat the police very nicely, you think they're going to open up to you? How many times have you seen an in-depth police statement on The Intercept? Zero. You hear leak statements and you hear, you know, confidentiality maintained to protect the people speaking to me statements. You don't hear official statements. Why? Who the fuck would talk with The Intercept? The police hate them. Why wouldn't they? Other sides of the fence. So laziness? In a lot of cases, yeah, it literally did start with laziness. Now, a lot of it is like institutional capture, but, and I'm not joking here, yes, in a lot of cases, it has been laziness. Back in the days when not everyone had a cell phone and you couldn't easily live stream every single fucking crime that's happening in Los Angeles, it was actually pretty difficult to get the insider scoop on a crime without talking to the police. Imagine it's the 1960s and 1970s, or the 80s when crime really started picking up. You know, crack epidemic? How are you going to get any information without talking to the police? You would better talk about them favorably. Talk favorably about our boys in blue who are fighting out there on the front lines against crack and blacks. And if you don't, motherfucker, you're not getting any intel. You're not getting any stories. Most leftist paper in Los Angeles reporting on the news of the day. Well, we weren't let within 3 blocks of the incident, but it looked pretty scary from a distance. Anyway, fuck Reagan and goodbye. Meanwhile, the mainstream newspapers that know how to play nice with the police are getting all the information they want. favorable info. They're getting insider info. They're getting insights. They're getting exclusive reports. Yeah, a lot of it genuinely did start with laziness, not even ideological capture. Believe it or not, 100 years ago, local newspapers were very often pretty antagonistic to the mayor, to the police. CNN was detained during last night's protest. No, they weren't. A CNN reporter was moved 100 feet down the block. The police officer did so by saying you're detained and grabbing him by the arm, but the police officer did that because police officers are gay and lonely and like human contact. It wasn't a crackdown on media. That being said, the police do often crack down on the press because they know they can without like facing any consequences. Hence, you know. By the way, keep an ear out for any consequences against the officer who fired at her. Hold your breath for it. I'm sure that'll play out well for you. Meanwhile, look at the comment section. Filled with people who are genuinely angry on behalf of the woman who was told at gunpoint to grit her teeth, smile, and play nice for the cameras. Imagine what this cop does when the cameras aren't around. He literally looked, aimed, and fired at her while her back was turned. Absolutely shameful. He made a deliberate decision to shoot her. That officer intentionally shot at this reporter. If you watch the cop who shot her, it was absolutely on purpose, not accidental. He aimed right at her and fired. Absolute outrage. As an American, I'd like to say I'm really sorry. Oh, don't apologize. This is really embarrassing for her. As a journalist, her job isn't to cover any news or whatever, okay? Her job is to promote the interests of the regime, all right? This is very embarrassing for her. So do you think the news is becoming so openly corrupt that people can see through it? No. What the hell is going on with the campaign ads on YouTube? Am I out of the loop? There's tons of ads for Trump's agenda. Well, Google has contributed to Trump's inauguration fund. They didn't in 2016. So, you know, you can expect a lot of... Wouldn't be surprising to me if eventually the Trump administration starts getting discounts for the ads they run. How's Greta? Alive, presumably.
Mr. Secretary, we're both from Minnesota. I was in the Twin Cities during the riots that followed the murder of George Floyd. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets for days. Governor Walz made the decision to call up the Minnesota National Guard. At no point did we need the citizens of Minnesota request that the Marines be deployed. This is a deeply unfair position to put our Marines in. So here are my budget questions, though. What is the current cost for what is taking place in California, and how is it going to affect this budget or the budget we're currently serving under? How much are these deployments going to cost for both the Marines and the National Guard?
Well, Congresswoman, thank you for the question. You are right. We are both originally from Minnesota, which is why I recall 2020.
His American flag pocket square is so fucking ugly. He's made so many deliberate decisions about the way he dresses, and they're all so fucking bad.
Quite well, when Governor Walz abandoned a police precinct and allowed it to be burned to the ground. And also allowed 5 days of chaos to occur inside the streets of Minneapolis. So in Los Angeles, we believe that ICE, which is a federal law enforcement agency, has the right to safely conduct operations in any state and any jurisdiction in the country, especially after 21 million illegals have crossed our border under the previous administration.
The number just keeps going up, man. The actual number is probably around 13 to 15 million undocumented immigrants in America in total. And then it went to 20. And then it was 20 who came over just under Biden. Like there were none before Biden. It was all under Biden, you know? So I guess the total number, if 20 came over under Biden, but there were 13 million before, so there's like 33 million illegals? It's like 10% of the country. That's crazy. Imagine being from Minnesota and still insisting that Minneapolis burned to the ground. Dude, there are people who live in Seattle who say Seattle burned to the ground. They don't care. They don't care. 300 million saved from fentanyl. Do you think Trump saved so many from fentanyl that he inadvertently saved the lives of undocumented immigrants, thus contributing to the problem?
ICE ought to be able to do its job, whether it's Minneapolis or Los Angeles.
I have limited time. I asked a budget
and they
question.
Are being...
Could the secretary please address the budget? Thank you.
Remember when Greg Abbott was conducting border operations with his state military, and Biden wanted to send federal agents in to intervene, and he was stopped by Greg Abbott, and then the Supreme Court ruled, giving Biden authority, confirming the obvious fact that Biden, as the president, has the authority to access the national border, and that Greg Abbott can't stop him, and then Biden just let him anyway, just gave up the issue. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that part.
You asked about the situation in Los Angeles, and we believe ICE agents should be allowed to be safe in doing their operations, and we have...
I'm still crashing the fuck out over the Ken Martin thing, by the way. I see that that video has gotten a lot of views, the Ken Martin I'm livid right now. I'm happy that the combination of title and thumbnail got a lot of people on board to see how angry I was. I'm still really fucking mad about that.
Deployed National Guard and the Marines to protect them in the execution of their duties.
I think he did eventually answer. He said that the entire operation is going to cost like 138 million or something like that. 60 days of occupation at minimum. That's so many crayons. Yeah, the Marines are in LA now. They just haven't been, like, seen. But they are there. Craigslist ad not proof of paid protesters in Los Angeles. Viral social media posts are claiming that a Craigslist ad seeking the toughest badasses in the city is proof that the Los Angeles demonstrations are made up of paid protesters. Bait for a prank show. You know, I'm really sorry about the strays, but when we retake power and it's our regime, I'm banning all conservatives from social media and all of India. I'm sorry, there's just too much coming from that direction right now, okay? It's not permanent, but like, we need to shut things down until we can figure out what's going on.
All of the city.
Here we go. Here we go.
It's actually so bad. Genuinely, on Twitter, if you see some deranged right-wing propagandizing, it's literally like a 50-50 that it's an Indian. It's fucking crazy. It's literally because, like, if you're a blue check mark on Twitter, you can make, in India, a lot of money by just rage baiting conservative. Like, they're not in the country, they don't speak English that well, so they're just like copy and pasting it doesn't, you know what, it's literally like AI image of a Mexican waving a Mexican flag in Los Angeles with a burning car behind him. What would you do if this was your neighbor? 42,000 comments, you know, 30,000 likes, 12.7 million engagements. Oh, there's my paycheck for the month. Jesus Christ.
Day, As of now, we have not received words of raids. I think you all understand that the city is not notified when ICE goes to a workplace. And what we rely on, frankly, is reporting from the community, especially the immigrant rights organizations that have formed the Rapid Response Network. That is usually how we hear about a raid taking place. As far as we know, there might be one rally today, but we don't believe there's going to be a series of them, and we don't have a lot of information about that one rally. I do want to say that at 6 o'clock tonight, though, there will be an interfaith prayer vigil of which I will be honored to attend, and it will be at 6 o'clock, calling for peace, calling for unifying our community, calling for supporting
Dude has cool hair.
Angelina.
You didn't grow up around black people. It's fine. It's okay. You don't have to announce it. Just, if you haven't been invited to the cookout, just don't talk about black people's hair, because you reveal, it's so unintentionally revealing. You don't even know what the minefield, you don't even know what the mines look like.
So let me just say now, commenting about last night, the violence we saw last night, there is just no way to view it as unacceptable.
His ASL is super clean.
So I do
it
not
looks
believe
pretty.
that
It looks like he's maneuvering
commit
pretty.
Vandalism and violence in our city really are in support of immigrants.
Pretty
they
well.
have another agenda. If you support immigrants and the rights of immigrants to be in our city, you would not be tearing the city apart or vandalizing it. And I do want to say, especially for our national audiences, that those of us in Los Angeles understand that the unrest that has happened are a few blocks within the downtown area. It is not all of downtown, and it is not all of the city. Unfortunately, the visuals make it seem as though our entire city is in flames, and it is not the case at all. And I think it's important to say that. Now, having said that, though, the violence and the damage is unacceptable.
Really?
It is not going to be tolerated.
Really?
And individuals will be arrested and prosecuted to the full extent of the law. And no individual that is involved in vandalism should think because they went home that night that they're off scot-free, because investigations will take place, and I am assured by the police department that there will be follow-up and arrests. The extensive vandalism downtown, especially of the graffiti that is just blanketing a number of blocks, has been extensive. We are 1 year away from the World Cup. This is about beautifying our city and bringing our city together.
Dog, it's Los Angeles. Covering the entirety of downtown with graffiti that's an improvement. Okay, downtown Los Angeles is legitimately one of the ugliest, most wretched metropolitan spaces I have ever been to, and the fact that Los Angeles is so culturally significant makes it all the more embarrassing. Honestly, like, dude, graffiti culture has like roots in Los Angeles. Just let them pepper the place. It's like those two big unfinished Chinese housing towers that were built downtown that got covered in graffiti, and everyone loved it, but the police were like, no, we're just going to use this as an excuse to fly helicopters around it 24/7 for a few nights.
And so I am calling on business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders to come together downtown in the next few days to talk about how we are going to clean up the city. Obviously, city workers are already out there removing the graffiti, but this is so extensive, it's going to take community-wide involvement. We had launched a program called Shine LA a couple of months ago in preparation for the World Cup, and now we are called on to direct that citywide. We need people from all over the city to come to downtown and to help with this effort. The staff, the mayoral staff standing behind me, represent the best of our organizers and community liaisons.
I mean, what is she supposed to say? Break more stuff, fuck the police officer? She wouldn't. She, honestly, like, all of this, literally everything that's happening right now is caused by ICE. By the federal government. So all she needs to say is this continued social unrest is a product of deliberate behavior from the presidential administration. He sent National Guardsmen here. He sent ICE here. He sent the Marines here with the intention of causing this because he wants to use it to further his political agenda. And then she would say something like, obviously, we do not condone the looting, the riots, the graffiti, but we must address these problems at their root. And the root is obvious that it sits in the White House. We're not like Kamala Harris did it. not Hegseth, sorry, again, I'm doing the Patrick Bateman lookalike thing again. Gavin Newsom did it, you know, it's not impossible.
And they will be leading that effort. I do want to go back and say that, just go back in time a minute. On Thursday.
So the National Guard made the people riot? That doesn't make sense. Maybe not if you're like stupid, I guess. None of these protests were happening before ICE's behavior, and sending the National Guard, deploying the National Guard over nothing increases unrest. It increases tension, which leads to more people protesting, obviously. It increases the thing they're protesting, which increases the social unrest. Social unrest leads to the looting, the rioting, the graffiti. So if they're deliberately increasing the social unrest, they're deliberately increasing the looting, the rioting, the graffiti.
Of last week, Los Angeles was peaceful. There was nothing going on here.
She's
that
pointing it out. Listen to her.
Intervention that took place the very next day. If we want to look at the cause of what is happening here, I take it back to raids that took place on Friday, and the uncertainty and the fear and the fact that families across the city are terrified that they don't know if they should go to work. They don't know if they should go to school. We have people that were detained. We don't even know the exact numbers of the people.
By the way, politically, if the Democrats were even remotely politically effective, they would defend every single thing the protesters did no matter what, which is exactly what Republicans do anytime any of theirs do anything wrong. Like we're in a war, okay? Why should Democrats have to hem and haw and go, well, we don't agree with the exact thing. A police officer got a boo-boo last night trying to stub their toe kicking back a tear gas spray that was kicked back at them. Like when Republicans just openly defend Jan 6. Like when you talk to any Republican, including the ones in the White House, and you say January 6th, they'll say based? Based? You'll say they attacked cops. They'll say based? Based?
That were detained. We have people that have not had contact with legal representation, nor have they even had contact with their families. And so there is an awful lot of concern. When the administration started, they said that this was about crime. They were going to go after violent felons, drug dealers, and I don't know how that matches with the scenes that we saw of people in Home Depot running through the parking lot because they were afraid that they were going to get arrested. You are talking about people who are trying to survive day by day, which is what a day laborer is doing, and why they would be considered as part of a problem as opposed to contributing to our economy is very difficult for me to understand. We've also received reports of people who were here legally, who were showing up for their annual appointment at the immigration office, and maybe even household.
Few streets, but it does seem to be ramping up. There was a lot of looting last night spreading to other parts of downtown LA. I know you've said that the solution is to stop the raids, but the federal government has said that's not going to happen. What is your plan to bring calm to the city?
Well, first of all, when I say a few streets, I don't mean that to mean like it's very small, because the vandalism, especially the graffiti, has happened kind of outside of that.
Oh, thank you, Karen Bass. I appreciate you. The reporter comes at you with the right-wing framing, and your response is, hold on, I don't think your framing was right-wing enough. People need to be more afraid of the looting.
But nevertheless, I'm trying to counter the image that this is happening all over our city, because it is not. And so we do want law enforcement to respond aggressively. Anybody that is out committing crimes are not doing it in solidarity with immigrants. They are doing the exact opposite. So we have to enforce the law here. I'm going to continue advocating with the federal government, though, to see how disruptive this is. But there needs to be a call that says this is unacceptable. And if you engage in this behavior, you will be prosecuted. Now, we're looking at things like curfews. We're looking at other aggressive response that we can have in case this violence breaks out again.
Do you think there will be a curfew? And wouldn't you say that the LAPD is
Jesus Christ.
Well, I do think that they are, but I do think that we need to be in terms of prevention. And I don't mean aggressive in terms of engaging with the crowd, but there's things that you can do to prevent. So I had a brief conversation with the chief this morning about a curfew. So we will be meeting about that later on today. And that's the type of aggressive tactic I was referring to.
Mayor, good morning. We have reporting on KNX that this presence of Marines and or National Guard could actually now go on for 60 days.
The new information this minute. Go ahead.
Yes, and so your response to that, it seems like despite calls from you and the governor, the answers are...
We want to give this guy a mic?
Well, that doesn't mean that I will stop. You know that. I'm not going to give up. But on the other hand, you just said 60 days. Somebody else is going to say 30. Somebody's going to say 90. The bottom line is we don't know. And that is consistent with ICE raids, of course. We never know when. We never know how long. But that very notion creates such a terrible sense of fear in our city. And it's just not right to do that to a population who's trying to survive. We are a city of immigrants.
I hate the constant appeals to weakness from them as well. Like, you're always appealing to empathy. Stop appealing to empathy. Who the fuck cares? You're obviously dealing with unempathetic monsters. Stop with this, like, you know, we're being bullied here. We're under attack. And start using antagonistic language, okay?
Right.
Does the government, the federal government, at some point come back to the city for reimbursement of any part of this?
No, I think that was money, as I understand it, that they were going to spend on the troop mobilization. Maybe that's what you're referring to. They don't need to spend it themselves. So I could not even imagine that they would come here and ask us to reimburse their unnecessary expense. Just imagine what we could do.
What happens when the police department gets worn out completely? A meaningless hypothetical. The police department will never be worn out. It's the LAPD. Their resources are infinite. Did you see how many officers they had deployed last night? They had so many police cars parked down an avenue. It stretched out in a block, 3 like long blocks. All of the bullshitting you hear about the police officers being stretched thin is just that. It's bullshit.
With $130 million in terms of preparing our city for the World Cup. Exactly. No, LA cannot afford it. Yes.
How does LAPD work that they can operate in Paramount City when that's not in LA City? Police officers can work in different jurisdictions if they're being brought in by the local police force. Like, if you have jurisdiction in an area, your police force can get help from other police forces. They have transferable authority.
No, that is correct, but Julia, at this point
yeah, it's called mutual aid, apparently.
Oh, okay. Where are you going? Let me just, I'm sorry, you finished? Yeah. Okay. I was worried about that before the ICE raids. I mean, that is a worry. I mean, you know, the theme of the administration is uncertainty. And so I have been very hopeful, and you know this, in terms of the fires and the cooperation we received from the federal government, working well with the administration, and now the pendulum has swung in a whole nother area. Well, you know what it would mean. I mean, you know that we came off of a very difficult budget year, but you also, it's very important to understand that it takes FEMA a long time. We're still looking for some reimbursements from COVID. And that didn't have anything to do with this. Immigrants are concerned about wreaking havoc, and our immigrant rights organizations that have been institutions, well-established, well-respected.
I don't know why, but her speech reminds me of Kamala Harris. I'm going to assume it's not because you're racist and sexist, since she has nothing in common with Kamala Harris in terms of, like, appearance or how she sounds. And I'm going to instead be charitable and assume that what you mean is that she's spineless and offering no real solution or, like, rhetorical through line, right? And in that respect, you're correct. Democratic politicians are shockingly boring. And this is why they lose, right? It literally does. By the way, guys, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see Donald Trump's approval ratings rise after this. Why wouldn't they? Seriously. The American public loves it when the military and police crack down on protesters. The American public is being showered with news clips from complicit Hitlerites framing things. This is probably going to work in Trump's favor. And a lot of that is because the Democratic opposition is non-existent. What would the difference be if there was a Republican mayor? They would say some egregiously, openly racist shit, and that would probably encourage more people to protest. Honestly, Karen Bass is probably worse than a Republican mayor would be in this situation.
institutions in our city for decades are used to doing protests. They are very well organized and coordinated, and they don't tolerate the violence. Yesterday's demonstration that was put on by labor, especially in solidarity with David Huerta, they had a system there where they wouldn't let people in a certain area if they had a mask on. My point is that we know how to take care of these issues ourselves. And then when you said about
AP News?
Of Los Angeles.
Okay.
There might have been some others I've heard about that were outside of the city that day. And I heard about it when the Rapid Response Network began notifying people that a raid was taking place. And then at that point, the family members know, hey, my son, my father, my spouse is working at this place. And then they start showing up. So that's when I heard about it. And then shortly after that, you began hearing from the administration. The National Guard issue came into play on Friday as well as Saturday. That's when I was talking to officials with the Trump administration, including Tom Holman. I spoke to him maybe about an hour before he said if I got out of line or the governor did, we'd both be arrested. Right.
They do give people an image. Have you contacted people, I'm not talking about Casey Wasserman, but people at the IOC in Switzerland?
I'm sorry, I can't. Any updates from the Marines? They're there. They just haven't gone out in the street yet. Please tell your chat about upwards distancing toward ASL. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't speak ASL. I don't think anyone speaks ASL. Wow, you're so fucking smart! Well done. Most people wouldn't have found that. Most people wouldn't have threaded that needle, but you got there. Well done. You semantic genius. Check out the attempted race riot in Ballymena, Northern Ireland. Race riot from who? What race? Ireland said 15 officers were injured after violence erupted in the streets of Ballymena. I love how, like, nowhere near 15 officers have been injured in Los Angeles, but you have, like, breathless coverage of the violence from LA protesters. Meanwhile, like, one article from Northern Ireland. Yeah, 15 guys got hurt. You know. 4 houses were also damaged by fire during the storm. Like, this is significantly worse than anything that's happened in Los Angeles, with police saying the fires are being treated as racially motivated hate attacks. So what, are these attacks on, like, migrants or something? You think that's why it's not getting covered as much? Attacks in Romani after sexual assault. Nice. So a mob of racists can attack police officers and engage in arson. It gets basically no coverage. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, a Waymo or two gets burned, and the entire world rushes to condemn the violence and brutality of the LA protesters. Upwards distancing is a form of prejudice that pushes the thing away from you, but behind a veil of positivity. Oh, this is college language. Listen, if people are being weird, listen, if people in chat are being weird about black people, I just call them white. Look, I'm not unaware of it, okay? I see people in chat and they see a black guy with like very normal hair and somebody says, wow, that guy has such cool hair. And I know you've never had a black friend. So like, but you don't know that you're flagging that by saying that, you know? So I have to be the one. Now I'm the one with the attention on him. They don't know they're tripping the flag, you know? Vosh really pulled the I have a black friend card. No, people in chat are pulling the I don't have a black friend card, which is a core part of many people's decks. Need a black co-host to educate them Yakubian projects? I think I'm doing just fine, thank you. Also, racist of you to say that a black person should take on the emotional labor of educating you Yakubians. Honestly. There was another trampling attempt in LA today? Well, clearly this is yesterday, not today. Is this not the same one?
Oh my god, that person's getting trampled by a horse. Oh my god. You're getting trampled by a horse.
No, it's not the same one. Is it the same one? I didn't remember him getting up. I guess different angles, so it looks different. Same one? Okay, still fucked up. There were 2 tramplings, but this one was yesterday. So there's another one that I haven't seen? I don't know. If you haven't seen it, here's a post by a lawyer that was shot point blank by a cop when asked for a badge number. Listen, guys, I need you to understand what it looks like for me when you show me a post from Blue Sky. This is what it looks like for me, okay? You need to stop showing me posts from Blue Sky, all right? Do you have any... The people over there are very sensitive. I don't even use this site. You do have annoying aura? I mean, yeah, granted, but...
I've been working hard, but this one's steroids hard. I know. When we pray for successful business jobs, you don't know that. You don't know that you're praying for long hours. Like, you got pretty tired as fuck. You don't know that. When you say, you make yourself a later. Yeah, but we do stay later in the prayer. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Just figured they might as well step over to Santa Ana on the way. Well, I'm glad they're having fun. What do you know about that one article claiming Harris actually won the presidency because of miscounted votes with tampered polling machines? I sincerely doubt one article has blown the roof off of what would be the most substantial act of vote rigging in American history. That being said, even if the Democrats won the election in vote and lost only because of vote tampering, they still deserve to lose. Like, if two generals on opposing sides of a war decide that they're, in lieu of a final battle between their armies, they're going to settle their war with a game of chess, and then your general is winning the chess game, and the other general stands up, draws a pistol, and shoots the other general, your general, several times in the face, and you're like, but our guy was winning. Like, no, their guy won, actually. In reality, democracy and the whole, you know, game of voting is just a facsimile for what politics really represents, which is the power to hold office and make people do what they don't want to do. Power is power. If they gain power, that's it. In retrospect, in the eyes of history, do you think it would make much of a difference at all if anyone now was to unearth the voting logs from 1933 or whatever and go, oh, well, did you know Hitler actually had less votes than you thought or whatever? Like, doesn't make much of a difference, right? Certainly doesn't make much of a difference the people they dug up from mass graves. I mean, you know, he did what he did. He won. Trump won. It's not like things would be that different if Harris won anyway.
What do you make of the fact that he says, you want a civil war on the streets of America?
No, that's just the opposite. I don't want a civil war. A civil war would happen if you left it to people like him. And I liked him. You know, I always got along with him. Never had a problem with him. But he's grossly incompetent.
Sure. Are the reports of looting in LA last night true? There were some videos about it. I'm sure people were looting. They said they found a dead body near the looted stores. Tim Pool clip. Are you seriously asking me to debunk a Tim Pool clip? Okay.
A dead body has been discovered in Los Angeles where the mass looting was taking place. And considering these individuals who were engaged in the mass looting have no regard for safety or law, human life and property, the assumption most people are making is that this is related, but we do have limited information.
Holy shit. That's a remarkable act of restraint on Tim Pool's part, you know? That's crazy. Do you think Tim Pool will eventually become like the Ben Shapiro 2 steps over? Where like Ben Shapiro is a fascist, but he got left behind because he's less crazy than most Republicans? So eventually, like a year from now, the mainstream Republican position will be like calling for like, you know, the day of the rope. And Tim Pool will be over here still kind of like doing the, well, no, I'm not explicitly that far right, you know. He's a little too dorky for it. That would be pretty funny.
And so the police are currently investigating. And I suppose there is a possibility, a real one, that after all the rioting and the looting, some guy was there and just went, oh, I'm suffering a congenital heart defect, and then died on the street. No, I'm kidding. I mean,
that can totally happen. Is there any report on like the injury? I'm looking at an article right now. I'm trying to see if there's any description of death investigations underway Tuesday after a man's body was found on a sidewalk in an area of downtown LA. Was he homeless? Because homeless people die in Los Angeles with, you know, depressing regularity. Police were called to the area of West 3rd Street and Broadway shortly after 1:30 a.m. where they found the unresponsive man. A spokesperson for the LAPD confirmed to KTLA. Video showed investigators at the scene standing next to the man who was lying on his back wearing a red sweatshirt. Cause of death was under investigation. I feel like if there were visible injuries on the guy, it probably would have been included in the initial report because there were reporters there. Like if there were bullet holes in the guy and blood all over the street. Like I'm looking at stills of the image right now. That probably would have gotten written in. Yeah, it was probably an OD or something like that. I mean, it's really sad, but yeah. So what's the conspiratorial implication here? That like looters broke into Adidas and then on the way out they went blat blat and just shot a random guy? The looters gave him fent. They hit him with the dang fent gun.
Brutal. But this could be anything. Although I think it's fair to say that when you find a dead body lying in the street, that is not a common occurrence. And the assumption is this is related to those riots.
I'm not going to lie. His rhetoric on this is actually more moderate than I expect. Like, I don't engage with the conservative grift scene as much these days because it's all kind of samey. So I guess, like, judging from the ambient noise I'd picked up on, I expected him to declare, you know, jihad over this, but I'm trying to see. Yeah, judging from what I'm seeing on in the articles that are talking about this, I don't see any information that's interesting. It's probably just an OD. If it wasn't an OD, then I'm actually, like, curious. Like, they picked up a body. Like, what was it? I don't know. Thank you, MAGA Kitty, or Save USA Kitty. Pool was always like this. I wonder what his compound is like now. I haven't been there in ages. He had, like, 3D printers there the last time I went. He showed them off to me. He was proud of them. I think 3D printers back then were, like, a little more new. It was like, what, 3 years ago? That skate park was pretty cool. They're fairly ubiquitous now, though. Yeah, but they're pretty cool. I'm pretty down on a lot of tech, but 3D printers are genuinely, like, very, very cool. You know, I'm not a hater on 3D printers at all. This is a 3D printer safe space. I don't have one. I don't have any intention of ever using one, but I think they're pretty cool. Wasn't it 2020? No, I went after. There was some other time I went. I don't know. What if you could 3D print Japanese denim? Ah, but you can't. That is true. It's the election day in New Jersey. Got to get Baraka in. You can, in fact, 3D print denim, sort of. Okay. Okay.
Entire industry and have near 100% penetration on that. And then these billion-dollar opportunities. We are at Unspun's Microfactory. They would sit in these meetings and talk about, like, process. The apparel industry is one where it's just standard that what if we just destroyed 1 in 5 cars that came off of a route towards automation? Up one, building from 3D structures rather than much more technical, much stronger, often why it's used in, like, carbon fiber and composites as well. So we specifically focus on weaving and doing this 3D weaving process. And these aren't software variables. These are, like, physical positions of things. Even as we prototype one little thing, and then we need to end deliver it and still do all of that in that, like, 2 or 3 day window that people expect. We think of ourselves...
Unspun, company that may revolutionize the way all clothing is made. They just announced a massive partnership with Walmart. Probably not going to be great. Tech bros reinventing things again. Dude, we already figured out clothing like a million years ago, okay? Just simply make good clothing and then wear it a lot, and you're fine. Bro, that's a reclaimed USPS jacket. Yeah, that's cool, though. From a sustainability standpoint, though, wearing high-quality clothing a lot is the most sustainable thing you can do. That's the best thing you can possibly do. wear pants made on a shuttle loom and just keep wearing them.
Really fundamentally addressing automation in a soft goods manufacturing world, as well as all of the order management and software needed to go from like a buy button being clicked on a website to a factory turning on somewhere else.
Oh, fuck. I remember this. They're saying like you can create your own clothing by creating like a 3D model, and then like there's an app and you create a model for the clothing, and then you press a button and a factory like constructs it, like 3D prints it. That shit's not, that's not gonna work. Oh, great, $500 pants. This process just won't work. It's that it wouldn't. That sounds kind of cool in theory, though. It won't work. It's clothing doesn't work this way. Elaborate, please. It's complicated.
If you want to actually have a shot at making a massive impact, then you need to make the most profitable.
It's just geometry. Why wouldn't it work? Genuine question. Because the way clothing is supposed to look is socially determined. You're not trying to fulfill a technical blueprint. You're trying to match like social expectations of how clothes are supposed to fit. And clothes are built with panels that are assembled, right? Woven fabric are assembled in panels, unless it's like loop wheel. And then knitted fabrics have a variety of construction techniques. But like having this free floating 3D assembly of clothing based off a 3D model, it doesn't conform to any of the existing pattern making that we use. Nobody would be able to use it properly. Like, designers might be able to do something with this, but the average person trying to customize their clothing would make some I guarantee you this would be used for like wretched, respectfully to fat people watching, wretched spandex like slip fit slop that's meant to accommodate your particular gut bulge. Okay, this is like this would be made for like people who like, well, what if my ass fat is really fucked up looking or something? This isn't like an art. This is the average person would not be able to use this artfully, and the only people who would be able to would be using it in some very avant-garde ways, I'm telling you. Clothing presets have a system that uses people's proportions and it suggests custom clothes. What do you mean it suggests custom clothes? What do you mean by that? It suggests? The machine suggests? What does that mean? AI, motherfucker? All right, take a break. No demon tech in this household. You can't print soulless clothing. It has to be an artistic influence. They do this in every industry. No, I'm not saying you couldn't make clothing. I'm just saying it would look like shit. Just look at how it works. Unspun.io. Jesus. Smarter sizing for smarter sales. Unspun custom denim. Okay, just yeah. Protests. I know. Just a second. How the fuck are they partnering with Walmart then? By making something ugly, which it's Walmart, so yeah. I didn't say you can't make clothing. I said that you can't make, like, good clothing. Oh my god. Wait, do that again, please. Oh boy. Yeah, that looks great. Wait, show me that panel merge again. Oh yeah. Wow, incredible. Okay. Silicon Valley really does like to reinvent the wheel with, like, every single fucking thing. We figured out how to make clothes a long time ago, guys, okay? The only modern innovation that you've been taking advantage of is the projectile loom, and it's made your clothing objectively worse. By, like, anyone's standards. We already figured this out. Wow. Only makeable via advanced 3D... Like, Jesus Christ, man. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ. This only works if you don't know anything about textile manufacturing. Raw materials, fiber processing, yarns. Wow, look at how efficient it is. But the Vega 3D weaving category here, this step in the process, is really just like doing a lot of the work here. Oh, no. Don't worry. We'll just skip like 90% of the work of making clothes. How? Via our proprietary advanced 3D technology that does everything in one step. Okay. How 3D weaving counteracts the climate crisis. Oh, I'm sure. I clicked. Relative to a typical pair of pants that is mass-produced, making a pair of pants with Vega reduces greenhouse gas emissions by 53%. How? Sorry, I know I shouldn't be talking about this right now because of the protest, but like someone in chat threw this in front of me, thereby guaranteeing that I would think about it. Custom fit jeans. Custom fit jeans. No sizes, no inventory. Our custom jeans are made to order. You choose your fit and customize the details. Oh, okay, hold on. You know you're in for some really encouraging, like, top-of-the-line fashion slop, when the baggy fit looks like this. The baggy fit is still tapered down. It doesn't even come, like, halfway across the foot. Okay, sure. Let's see then. 215 bucks, baggy fit jeans and organic mid-vintage. I mean, you can get, like, selvage denim made on a shuttle loom with this, but let's see. Oh, waist rise low? Oh, wow, what a surprise. Almost like this has been suggested by people who work in tech and not people who get laid and like pussy and fuck. Hem length, regular. Hem length, regular! After checkout, you'll receive instructions on how to take a 3D body scan. We'll use your scan to create your custom fit jeans. This is what I mean, guys. This is what I mean. It's tech slop. It's Silicon Valley tech slop. .3D scan. Submit cock for 3D fitting. Jesus fucking Christ. I dare you to do it. No, I'm not buying this. Are you kidding me? I don't get it, but I'll take your opinion on it. Okay. Which do you guys think is a better way of choosing what haircut you want to get? Asking a hairdresser to like, okay, I'd like something like this, a little more off the side, a little more on the top, you know, I'd like it to look kind of like this photo. Here's a photo I'm bringing. I want this vibe, you know, like kind of make it match the shape of my face. Or Silicon Valley tech company, hair for you. Put your face in front of the camera and slowly rotate 360 degrees around so we can get a 3D scan of your face. Then we will suggest for you the optimal haircut that maximizes your priorities. Uses less water, more eco-friendly because it fucking, I don't know, it's efficient or some shit. Which of these systems do you trust more, okay? The tech slot people try to explain to you, like, well, no, listen, because of, like, science or something, like, you want the 3D scan or whatever, but I'm telling you, all the pretty people you see on the street, all the cute fucking babes wearing fishnets downtown that you see that you think, oh, God, I'd last 2 seconds inside of her, they're not getting the 3D face scan. They just have a good understanding of their facial structure and what they want their hair to look like, okay? Because if you want to be beautiful, which is a matter of artfulness, of communication, you need to understand the language. And you're not going to understand the language of beauty if you're scanning your 3D cock and giving it to unspun.io so they can print the denim condom, okay? I'm done with this. We're moving on. We're moving on. I'm done. Oh, close the tabs. Close the tabs. Stay calm. Slow breathing. Everything looks pretty calm to me right now, I'm not gonna lie. Just lads having fun. Levi's? Levitt? Oh, I get it. This is old footage? Is it old footage? I don't think it's old footage. I think that things are just pretty chill right now. Seriously, all of the big stations right now are just live watching this.
In response to the immigration raids and ICE activity,
San Antonio.
There are some advocacy organizations holding a rally right now that we did want to at least dip into.
Oh, please.
Against the United States, a characterization he uses as his basis for overstepping presidential powers to subvert the First Amendment right to association and protest. A functioning democracy must ensure that we, the people...
School shooting? I believe there was a school shooting in... is it Austin or Austria? I just remember the AUS. Austria? Gotcha. Pretty bad one, too. At least 9 dead. At least 10 killed in shooting at Austrian high school, police say. Victims' names and age have not been released. Gunman also died in apparent suicide. One of the worst school shootings in Europe in years. That's not usual here in Europe. No. It's exceptional for you guys. State police said the shooter was a 21-year-old who had previously never attended the school. Borg Dreyer Schutzengasse, but never graduated. Had previously attended the school, but never graduated. He killed 6 females and 3 males on campus. The police did not publicly identify. Another victim, a woman, later died at the hospital. Jeesh. Countdown till it turns out it was a right-wing incel? It was rhetorical. Austria has a huge Nazi problem, Vosh. Really? Shocking.
Ancestors respect. And I want to give the ancestors of all those people who are being targeted right now respect as well, because they also lost their land to greedy newcomers who took their land, and that's one of the reasons why we have the situation we have now. If all the natives of Turtle Island had their own land back, they wouldn't have to be coming to the United States in order to live a decent life.
I think one of the big problems we have with, like, anti-ICE protesting in America is that there's a bunch of different angles. It's really, really difficult for people to come together in a common angle. Because, like, the indigenous rights side of things is, and I'm saying this respectfully as a person who's always advocated for land back, irrelevant to what's happening right now with ICE. Literally irrelevant. It's not, that's not the line at all, you know? For a lot of people, it's like a pro-Mexico thing, but it's also broadly about, like, you know, democracy at large. I mean, everyone's involved, you know? You need, like, a common message. But fuck ICE is, like, apparently not a very functional common message, because a lot of people, a lot of dipshit, you know, borderline Hitlerite libs, they don't seem to understand, they can't get it in their head that it's possible for police agencies to do anything wrong. You know? You can make it like an anti-Trump thing broadly, but...
Because of what's happening in Los Angeles. I'm here because of what's happening right here. It's not somewhere else. It's here. This is my community. These are my neighbors, the people I shop with, the people my child attends school with, the people who walk their dog past my dog when we are walking around the block. The family next to me at the beach over the summer.
Ow. Well, you know what ethnic background we Mexicans all have, right? Like 95%. Yeah, but it's not really, like, relevant. For one, the current line that ICE is taking, the strategy the federal government is taking is nominally white supremacist, but in practice is just an opportunity to crack down on all dissent against the government, right? Like, the mechanism that's being used is ICE deportations, white supremacy, of course, and that is a goal. But it is the larger goal here is to incite, you know, counter-protesting and use this as an excuse to go after any opposition. So we need to focus on the messaging.
As you can see, the helicopter has now left the scene, but our content partners were stating that there was an anti-ICE rally protest being held in Los Angeles. We really didn't see much activity, which is perhaps why the helicopter has now been told to leave the area. We, along with them, are going to continue to monitor any protests should they pop up. And we're also keeping a very close eye on this. This is a live look from Fort Bragg.
Yeah, I'm waiting on Fort Bragg.
We are expecting to hear from President Trump in just about 35 minutes or so. Prior to that, he was scheduled to observe a military demonstration. It's not clear because everything is running a little behind schedule, whether that will be the case or not. But we're monitoring this live look right there as we are expecting to hear from President Trump. We're going to just step away for a brief break, continuing to monitor all of these live events.
Yeah. Kind of grim how quiet things are, to be honest with you. I've talked about it, Viking Bear, sir. This is what American authoritarianism gets to look like. It's news, live stream feeds pointed at Humvees while no one protests. Has ICE done any more raids today? I know that there's a graduation ceremony where they've called in, like, extra security because they're worried about ICE snatching up, like, children and their parents or whatever. Did you see this poll about people's view of Trump sending in National Guard and Marines? Do you approve or disapprove of deploying National Guard soldiers to the Los Angeles area to respond to protests over the federal government's immigration enforcement? 38% approve, 45% disapprove, 17% not sure. Expect these numbers to get worse for us over time. More and more people are going to support the crackdowns. Why the fuck is it so close? No counter messaging. Many ICE raids over the last 12 hours? President Claudia Sheinbaum asserted that it is absolutely false to claim that she encouraged the protests in Los Angeles, California. Damn, no solidarity across borders, huh? I saw a similar graph, albeit in the UK, about trans acceptance of opinion over time matched with media coverage, and yeah, it really is as simple as the more coverage there is for a narrative, the more people fall in line with it over time. Yep. But Democrats do not believe in changing people's minds, only in responding to how people already think of an issue. So, yeah, I don't know. Unless that issue is Israel. Yeah, well, on that issue, they're paid to have the wrong opinion. How can there be a counter message when the DNC chair cries when people disagree with him? I can't get over that shit, man. That's so fucking... I cannot get over that. That needs more coverage and embellishment. It's not going to get covered. Dude, Los Angeles is so fucking big. California is one of the biggest states, and we can see, while looking at the entirety of California, you can still see the sprawl. There was an ICE checkpoint in Sacramento today? Really? Is there a single Sunbelt city that does urban planning well? Hold on, chat. Help me out with this one. Is there a single Sunbelt city that does urban planning well? Like, even a little one? San Diego, fucking nope, absolutely not. Phoenix, absolutely not. There might be something in New Mexico, but I don't know. Does Boulder count as the Sun Belt? No. I guess the Sun Belt does go all the way east, so eventually you're going to hit like a Georgian city that was built in like 1802 that still looks nice or something, but eh. Savannah's pretty? I've never been there. Newsom asks court to block National Guard from helping ICE. California governor, I've heard of this guy, asked court to block Trump administration from using troops in immigration raids. The filing included a declaration from Paul Eck, Deputy General Counsel in the California Military Department. Eck said the department has been informed that the Pentagon plans to direct the California National Guard to start providing support for immigration operations. That support would include holding secure perimeters around areas where raids are taking place and securing streets for immigration agents. That's great. We're gonna start having, yeah, like fucking military perimeters established around like a taco stand. Did you guys see the leaked memo from Kristi Noem to Hegseth that I talked about the other day, where she pushed for Hegseth to illegally authorize the National Guard to assist in arresting without the invocation of the Insurrection Act? That was cool. He wants a ruling within 2 hours? I don't know, man. What really sucks is a lot of these National Guardsmen are getting pulled off of burn and clear missions across Southern California in anticipation of a pretty brutal fire season this summer. Maybe that's not bad. Maybe a cleansing fire that scours the earth of America would be the only way, the only path to salvation. Maybe this is divine providence. Perhaps. Everyone go to Yellowstone and jump up and down. That's funny. That's funny. Sheesh. The fire's already happening? Well, it is pretty hot out. Yeah, I see there are some active fires across California. Apparently it's smoky outside. Like even up here in Seattle. There's burning coming down from Canada.
For the communities that feed the entire nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up, we'll have Fernando Martinez from MICA, followed by AJ Hoven.
It's so blackpilling that, like, we're apparently more than 50,000 French people protested after Israel engaged in piracy and kidnapped Greta Thunberg from the aid flotilla, you know? But nowhere near that many people are protesting in the United States, a much larger country, about the insane shit that's happening here. We're so fucking cooked, man. What do the French have to do with that? I mean, Greta Thunberg's flotilla was of international interest. Yeah, this is just replays. Nothing's going on right now. It's nothing. Nothing at all. Here's something. Los Angeles live stream Venice Beach live cam. If you want a real fucking wretched spot of degeneracy and crime. Wow, they turned the saturation way up on this camera. Guys want a Hannah tattoo? Big Dick is back in town. That's what I'm saying. You guys see that? Can you read that? Also, I'm not gay. Oh, I didn't see that one. That's not true at all. Why the fuck is my nose bleeding? I do not miss this city. I'm getting distracted. Need to shake myself out of covering live footage mode. All right, all right. Why is it so nice on weekdays but ass on weekends in the city? Traffic, I imagine. I'm sad this took over any chance of going with a Curtis Yarvin article. Well, also, I don't, you know, want to do a segment that's just me reading an article out loud. But yeah, no, Curtis Yarvin is, like all of the rest of them, a lunatic. A narcissistic lunatic retard. They're all, like, there's nothing impressive about these people. Oh my fucking god. Oh my god, I'm crashing the fuck out. YouTube's recommending me a video. The secret robot that will disrupt fashion.
I made with my phone. They were made by... These are my prescription pants. They were made to fit my body exactly by using a 3D scan that I made with my phone. They were made by...
Oh yeah, same company.
This company. And now they've developed a 3D robot loom that can basically make clothing on demand.
We can produce products that are made to fit you differently than they're made to fit me.
Every single person who's come through the door.
The crazy thing is that we are so disconnected from a culture of tailoring that a lot of people probably think this is like a novel concept. Thank God, man. After millennia of just having to wear the clothes that are made at the store, finally we have a way to make clothing specifically for your body. No one knew how to do this before.
I said, my legs are too short, my calves are too big.
They're fantastic legs.
Yeah.
It's the pants that have been the problem.
Exactly.
What if the future of fashion is the ability to buy...
Before, we have never had any solution for the problem of what if the inseam is too long? How expensive is tailoring on average? I have had my pants hemmed for $5.
Clothing that fits you perfectly every time. Why do this? Well, it turns out fashion is one of the most wasteful industries on the planet.
Because of fast fashion, making low-quality clothing that people wear twice then throw away at very, very, very large rates in a way that's like decoupled from demand.
Apparel has just been built around 20% waste is okay, because that's really all we could do in that old method.
Far more than 20%. And also, old? No, the old method wasn't wasteful at all. The new method is what's wasteful. Fast fashion is the wasteful development. The old way of producing clothing, where people have high-quality clothing that's altered by local tailors to fit their body comfortably, and then they wear that for like a very long time, was not wasteful at all.
There are significantly deeper issues that we're talking about here. It's not just a pair of pants.
Technologies like this mean we could get better clothes that fit us perfectly with much less waste.
It's really difficult to appreciate.
It's called tailoring, man.
Our clothing because we haven't made it. We're missing that whole picture.
Come see how it works. This is Hard Reset, a series about rebuilding our world from scratch.
Yeah.
I came to visit the folks at Unspun.
Wake me up when he's done with the fashion segment. Listen, if you want to, treat this like, yeah, the Juicero or whatever. Treat this like any other Silicon Valley, you know, VC capital or VC bullshit, you know, any other, like, let's reinvent the wheel, let's disrupt, let's move fast and break things, let's fix something that doesn't need to be fixed, or break it in ways that it really didn't need to be broken. You know, it's part of, it's a broader social issue, okay? It's just on a topic that I know a little more about.
Where they've reinvented one of the oldest technologies in human history, the loom.
The whole system that we're creating is trying to go back to the beginning of why clothing should exist and how it should exist in the world.
This is Beth Espinette,
we saw that guy.
You could say Unspun literally grew out of her garden.
I planted a dress form in my garden, and there were chia seeds all over it. And it grew into this beautiful, well, beautiful. It depends on who you ask. These snails thought it was very beautiful, a nice vest.
They're a market too.
Yes. Yes, they really ate it up. To additive manufacturing, that felt right, building from the ground.
All of the steps involved in the process. The specific approach that we're taking in that is three-dimensional weaving, going from very flat conventional.
Isn't this at least better than the current industry standard? I would argue probably not, no. Given the fact that the only information we have on this is what the company's willing to share with us, not like independent investigators getting to the bottom of it, and even with just the info presented, it seems stupid and wasteful. My guess is probably not.
Weaving to a much more 3D and seamless process.
The core of our technology takes yarn, three-dimensionally builds the garment from the ground up, so it's an edited process, it's automated, it's fast.
This
shirt or your jacket, putting those into a machine and just building a seamless product in this 3D form.
I have a friend who works there, and it's legit way less wasteful in the current industry. Okay, so here's an IQ test for you, all right? Assuming you're being serious, you don't work there, so you don't know. So the only source you have on the operation of this company is from a person who gets their paychecks from it. Do you think that gives you the authority to speak with credibility on it? Like, I was by virtue of being this person's friend, like, do you think you have, like, the insider info in the entire manufacturing process, or do you think that you're being given the slice that your friend has, the person whose job it is to like the company? I'm just saying.
The loom can weave seamless tubes. Those tubes get sewn together to make pants or shirts. Also, this is a jacquard loom. Each strand can be controlled individually. That allows for intricate patterns to be woven into the cloth.
Okay. What about, like, slub fabrics? What about textural variety? What about, like different types of interweaving?
3D weave, so it doesn't have any inseam and no outseam, so it's just kind of a full piece.
No inseam, okay. So tailors have no allowances to extend the clothing if you gain weight.
Jacquard means that every single yarn that's on the machine is controlled individually, so you're not stuck with a plain weave pattern.
Can it do like linings? Can it do linings? Like, or can it crochet? Well, no machines can crochet.
Pattern, for example, you can start to build in different patterns. You can even write your name in it.
Okay.
This is a bit of a full circle. The first jacquard looms date back to 1803, and the punch cards that programmed their weaving patterns were a foundational technology that helped inspire programmable computers. Thank Ada Lovelace the next time you look at your phone, because all the electronics you rely on today are the distant descendants of software she wrote for those punch cards.
That is true. The origin of like computer programming was in making jacquard looms like 200 years ago. That is actually true, by the way. They used little punch cards to program the way the looms would weave the fabrics into patterns. That's like the origin, or what you could argue an origin point of modern machinery or modern computer.
Thank you, Ada. Now, software is powering and coordinating little robots inside a loom to do things that were previously unimaginable.
Okay.
This is such a new technology that we weren't allowed to film the guts of it, but I was able to look at it and describe it to you.
Basically, it's like a donut of robot parts that are taking a whole ton of threads and weaving them up and down really fast.
I can't imagine something like this scaling very well either. Like, you need this gigantic, expensive machine to construct the clothing? I mean, I don't know.
As these carts of thread circle around and weave it all together, it's actually really hypnotic to watch.
Weaving is a very precise technology. We are communicating signals within millimeters of each other in terms of weaving instructions.
Yeah. Rather than things mechanically being timed, we're now timing everything with really robust software. Our machine operates much more like an autonomous car in terms of
Really good coverage. So that's really the biggest difference, is there are about 4 times as many yarns being used in this product, so it's higher density.
The result is that this machine can make garments that produce far less waste and can be custom made to fit your body. Eventually, you can upload a 3D scan of your body and have garments woven.
You can already custom fit clothing to your body. We already have a process for this.
Specifically to fit you.
This is where we're finally getting to that economical point where 3D weaving is now just as affordable and significantly faster than a very manual cut and sew labor process.
Those pants were $215.
Done on the opposite side of the world.
One pair of pants is like 10 minutes of manufacturing.
Yeah, it's 10 minutes on machine, and then we have finishing steps that are fewer than 10 minutes.
The way clothes get made now is pretty nuts.
Apparel manufacturing conventionally is cotton grown in a field. It goes to a factory that, filters and processes the fiber, twists those fibers, spins them, and that factory sells these yarns to another factory, putting them on these big beams and then weaving them together to create that flat fabric to another factory who's buying that fabric, laying it out, cutting out these like cookie cutter part. Waste just gets thrown away at 10 or 15% of all of the fiber up to that point. Cookie cutter piece.
We've been doing this for thousands of years. It's not that complicated. I'm really sorry. Like, we figured this out a long time ago. They're trying to make it sound like crazy complicated or whatever, but like, we've been doing this for as long as we've had clothing. You farm the cotton or the flaxseed or linen, whatever the fuck. You make bolts of cloth. You process it. You take it. You have the panels. You cut out the panels in the right shape. You stitch it together. You make it. Yeah, you move it around a bit. And yeah, you can recycle the cloth depending on how it's being used. It doesn't have to just be thrown away.
And stitch them together, and you have a pair of pants.
Each step in this process has waste and pollution. There's water pollution from dyes or excess fabric scraps, and
You don't use dyes?
Production that gets landfilled or incinerated.
The weird thing is, there is so little transparency within the industry that nobody can really agree on the impact. Depending on the sources that you trust, the fashion industry accounts for roughly about 4 to 10% of global human carbon emissions.
But that's because of the production processes. That's because of the business side of things, not the tech side of things. The tech side we figured out a long time ago. The reason the fashion industry is wasteful is because of fast fashion. It's because of massive overproduction of low-quality clothing that people only wear a few times. It's because of people following trends and cycles. It's because of people not reusing clothing. It's because of the lack of tailoring shops, so nobody knows how to repair clothing. So when something gets a hole in it, they just throw it away rather than patching it. Like, it has nothing to do with the technology.
Apparel is top 3.
But Silicon Valley will never fix the business side of things. Their solution is always, this little technical doodad will solve a fundamentally social problem. And then it never does. And it never has.
Top 5 dirtiest industries in the world. The bulk of that is not necessarily billowing smoke out of factories. It's an industry that has just become so standardized on waste.
During any season, you typically are landfilling or incinerating 25, even up to 30% of the garments because there is a mismatch between demand and supply.
30% is a lot. Like, imagine building houses and then burning 30% of them down because they didn't sell.
They're not even talking about the number of garments that people throw away after only wearing them 2 or 3 times. No, I see. I'll cover it as soon as I'm done with this, Furman.
Or just erasing 30% off the end of your video. See?
I get it.
No bueno.
Wow.
This becomes hundreds of billions of dollars spent to make something, move it around the world a couple times. It doesn't get sold and is ultimately...
Even in an automated way, so that you could do it when someone wants it. You could have it on demand. And by changing the manufacturing method, you could also inform what the recycling method would be. So if you're very thoughtful about, let's weave these yarns together and not really hurt the yarns while you're doing it, then you could go backwards at the end of the life and unravel those back into some spools and reuse them.
What?
So this is an example of a material that was woven and then rewoven again.
Oh, wow.
So the yarn stayed intact through the life of the product and then was able to go back on the machine.
You can do that with any yarn.
Again.
That's really fascinating. This is on its second life as a product.
Exactly. Yeah, it was a skirt before and now it's a pair of shorts.
Okay, that's actually cool. Yeah, but it's not new. That's not new at all. Haven't you ever worn something made with recycled cotton? A bunch of my clothes are made with recycled cotton.
Environmental impacts aside, how will this affect the way you buy or wear clothes? Well, for most people, the biggest impact might just be clothes that actually fit them.
One of the original inspirations for the company was I was passing through this Olympic stadium. They have a picture of all the Olympians, and it's really shocking how diverse the body types are. If you walk into a normal fast retail store, there is no way you can find fitting garments for every one of them. These are people...
You probably can.
Top of the t-shirt fits me, but just...
And this too is...
The standard for decades.
Then trying to, align the production process of hundreds of humans working on the same thing.
What if your clothing size was unique to you? What if everyone had mass-manufactured clothes that fit like they were custom tailored to them? What
Shows
if everyone
clothing
had
with incredible fucking allowances in the proportions that could fit like anyone.
Unique to you. What if everyone had mass-manufactured clothes? That's possible and not...
Like look at the cut of the clothing she's wearing. They're showing this while arguing we can custom fit. Like, it's not like they're showing tailoring. They're not showing like a suit jacket or something. They're showing giant contemporary oversized clothing, which deliberately doesn't fit you closely.
Not just in a Back to the Future movie.
This thing doesn't fit.
Hey, stop with the
on a pair of
copyright.
jeans that just fit. Hopefully, this is what all shop really delightful.
This fucking guy pretending that this is the first time he's worn pants that have fit him properly.
To put on a pair of jeans that just fit. Hopefully, this is what all shopping will be like in the future.
Yeah, I'd love every fucking shopping experience to be like going into a fucking Apple store and looking at swatches of cloth. I'd like the I would like the soy cut on the Good Boy jeans, please. Would you like that in a low rise or lower rise? Lower rise, please. I want my butt crack to show while I'm standing up. All right, give me your 3D dick print. Wrong file type, sir.
Our vision is on-demand manufacturing.
Give us your cock data now.
We can prove on-demand is here through this custom-fit proof of concept brand where we take a 3D scan.
Jeans were made the traditional way, but concept was developed before the 3D loom was ready to go. So these jeans were made the traditional way.
You're kidding me. He's not even wearing pants that are made with the 3D loom? He's just wearing regular assembled jeans?
But in the future, it's possible to combine these technologies.
Oh my god, this fucking shill. Jesus Christ. Disclose that at minute 12:30 of the video. Oh my fucking god, you piece of shit. How much did they pay you for this? Oh my god. I fucking hate Silicon Valley. I fucking hate Silicon Valley. I fucking hate Silicon Valley so much. Why the fuck was this company even making clothing without the 3D loom? What point are they trying to prove with that?
Is to create truly personal clothing for everyone.
Yeah, that looks great, you know? Just look at the silhouette.
Personal clothing.
Yeah, this is looks fucking phenomenal. Yeah.
For everyone.
We mentioned earlier that the loom is one of our oldest technologies, but an even older one is shaving. Just like
yeah, we know. It's all money. We know. We're aware. Thank you.
Let's get back to custom clothes.
So picture a scenario where robotic looms made our clothes on demand, and they always fit perfectly. These robotic looms are small and nimble, and with minimal labor, they can distribute clothing manufacturing to more places around the world, maybe even in every city.
Have you been to Tokyo? They have like 1 million fucking shops there. Some of the best denim in the world is made in studios in Tokyo. You can make there's tons of clothes made in LA. You can make clothing. You just need a sewing machine. Looms aren't that big. I mean, they're big, but you can fit them in a city.
So if we're closer to where demand is, we're close to where the consumer is buying the product, it makes that on-demand model possible.
In a world...
Only through future technology could we ever manufacture oversized Zara-ass polyester clothing. Thank you. Piece of shit. And the fact that not only are all of these random fucking video clips they've played have nothing to do with the clothing company, but the jeans of the man they paid to advertise it weren't even made by the 3D loom.
Where we have this...
Like, they keep showing clothing that doesn't have strict requirements when it comes to fit. None of the... She's wearing a dress with a belt. You can just find a dress with a belt and put it on and it'll probably fit you. The point of a dress with a belt is that it's a rectangle of clothing you cinch at the waist.
Distributed microfactory system all...
Oh, well, I mean, well, you could look like this if you want.
Across the United States, we can produce 100,000 for a...
Tank tops! Tank tops!
Massive factory, but we could also produce 10 for a local brand. So I think the shift is going to move away from these big, mega, centralized, popular brands to a much more distributed world of lots of different...
Wow, you're going to disrupt the entire industry. You're going to disrupt the whole industry.
Design and expression, because that fundamental barrier of manufacturing starts to be lowered.
Imagine walking into a store, getting scanned, and walking out with a dress or pair of pants that was made only for you.
Do these people realize how fucking creepy this sounds? 3D scan... So take off your clothes and enter the 3D scanning biopod.
This isn't just about it fitting you properly. It could actually change your whole relationship with your clothes.
Currently, how we think about apparel is it's disposable.
I hate. These people are fascists. I hate them. I hate them more than I hate the Republicans. These people are fascists. They're death cultists too. I hate these people. I hate these people so much. Palantir ass motherfuckers.
With our technology, the products are more durable, so that in 2 years, when fashion cycles inevitably they will come back, that those could be reused, but you can still have that optionality of self-expressing in a culturally relevant manner.
What we have.
Nothing encourages self-expression in garment manufacturing quite like taking literally all the human element out of it.
should have value, no matter if it's day 1 or day 5,000 of its use.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't even miss that. The whole point here is that it's like supposed to be, because they greenwash the fuck out of everything. They're like, oh, well, this is like good for the environment. That's what we're concerned about, not venture capital money. By the way, imagine just like, getting like lots of clothes, super easy, just like dumped on you, whatever. Haha, it's so easy.
Truly relevant data.
What we have should have value, no matter if it's day 1 or day 5,000 of its use. Is there a way that we can start to think about what we make in this world not being trash at the end of life? Can we kind of reframe that?
All right, well, do they have a website? Yeah, we were looking at it earlier. Well, yeah, one enemy. One fucking enemy. All right. I'm so grumpy. I'm so grumpy. Why the fuck is my nose bleeding? Dry air? Yeah, probably. Okay, what the fuck is going on in Seattle? ICE in Seattle, they're at immigration court at the Henry M. Jackson building, 915 2nd Avenue, and need help. Can't get there, please call Chant. Well, pay up public congressional rep. They're preventing anyone from entering the building without an appointment right now, including lawyers from the Northwest Immigration Rights Program. Yeah, I heard about this. I saw this right before I started stream. Apparently, ICE is in the federal courthouse in downtown Seattle, and they are preventing people from entering, even though typically immigration court proceedings have been open to the public. They don't want protesters in here. See if there's any more, like, recent information. Also important, beaver sighting in Mont Lake. Very good. Oh, were I capable of being as calm as you, little friend? Munching on that leaf. Delightful. Yeah, I saw this. Legal observers have been banned from observing ICE in the federal building. NWIRP set up a table outside to take people's names in case they get kidnapped by ICE. Tell people to tell others who are going to immigration hearing to go to second half entrance. Update, the building is open. Just talked to Cantwell's Seattle staff. The building was open. The situation, according to her, is that the building manager put the building on lockdown, only allowing people with appointments, their attorneys inside. All the volunteer attorneys willing to represent those without lawyers and all others prohibited from entering, but Cantwell took action. It's open by 12:23 p.m. Okay. I didn't see a live feed of anyone down there, so I don't know if I can cover much right now, but we'll see how things develop, I guess. It's also fucking headache-inducing, man. The beavers aren't enough to make up for the clothes and the fascism It's too much. Have you tried 2 beavers? At once? Maybe. They're beaver posting. They're beaver posting on Maine. I'm honestly pretty disappointed that nothing is coming of the Cali stuff. There's this big crackdown on the freedom to protest, and none of the Democrats or blue cities are doing anything about it. Yep. Unfortunately, like, the big gap here isn't even the Democratic politicians, it's the media. The media is utterly right-wing captured. There is no left-wing media in this country. Not with any real power, at least. Local media and national media, from top to bottom, are, like, uniformly... like, the most left-leaning you can be as a news agency right now is condemning these horrible riots, the looting, the violence, and so on, but this was caused by Trump. There's no militancy from left media at all, and because of that, you know, even the few Americans who are exposed to things from that side, they're not going to be agitated to the point that they're going to do anything. Just a slow, slow death for this country. Did you see the expected cost of deployment? Yeah, $134 million. Fantastic stuff, really. Which explains why leftists are terminally online. Yeah, it's the only place where anything makes sense, really. Certainly with regards to, like, political coverage, man. I'm not one of those guys who argues that independent media is more trustworthy. After all, independent media right now, at least, like, internet media, is also very right-wing. But no, the only people, I'm telling you, and I mean this sincerely, and you can, I think you can see this in the sentiment if you look, you know, into history books and you see what the civil rights or the anti-Vietnam War protests looked like. Fuck, even the anti-Iraq War protests. By the standards of protests, historically justified protests, the media today is insanely complicit. Unbelievably complicit. Just put the Fort Bragg speech in the bag. Put the Fort Bragg in the bag. Who knows how late he'll be. Vietnam was partially undermined by body count showing dead American soldiers. Oh, there he is, probably. Yeah, but they learned their lesson from that. The lesson learned from Vietnam was that if you let reporters do actual reporting, people will not support your crazy shit. Seriously, that's the lesson they learned from Vietnam. The reason public opinion turned in Vietnam is because video teams went over there and they saw how fucking awful it was, which was not the case in previous conflicts. In World War II, you know, most of what people saw was carefully coordinated propaganda and, you know, ooh, rah, let's go get 'em, boys type shit, you know? Type shit. It wasn't just like horrific video footage of dead bodies or whatever. Definitely doesn't help that, you know, we had no business being in Vietnam, but we did have business being at Normandy. And since that day, well, since that war, the media has been a lot more complicit. I think, and I think it would take a person with a lot more historical knowledge than me to really make this argument. But I think if you did a parallel between the Vietnam War and the Iraq War, you would see the consequence of very deliberate government policy and communication with the media after Vietnam, a very, very carefully coordinated effort to frame things in a way that prevents people from turning their opinion against the war. Now, people's opinions did turn against the Iraq War, and people, to begin with, were not very supportive of it. But, you know. Great. Also, a lot more anti-war music became mainstream during Vietnam. Yeah, that's because, you know, anti-war countercultural sentiments were popular. But there is no such thing as a counterculture anymore. The environment in which counterculture existed has been consumed by capital. For a while, it was the internet. But now the internet, like, there are 3 websites. People use 3 websites plus Discord. That's it. Discord is technically still a website. Yeah. I saw Wolfie Dude. What do you mean there are no big countercultural groups? They exist, but as separate things. There is no counterculture. It doesn't exist. Can you think of it? Where is the counterculture? It's certainly not the Democrats. What the fuck does that mean? That's exactly my point. If you were around in 1967 and you were asked, what is the counterculture today? You would be able to answer like that. Certain musicians, certain newscasters, certain cultures, certain environments, easy. Point out right there. You know what the counterculture is? Jimi Hendrix shit. You know what it looks like back then. You have an instant idea of what the lines are. You've got the Hawks, you've got the Suits, you've got Washington, and then on the other side, you've got, yeah, very, very clear. Bob Dylan. Oh, what are we looking at? But now there's no counterculture. There are people who don't agree with the government. There are people who don't agree with the mainstream sentiment. But it's difficult to even identify what the mainstream sentiment is because ideology is such a polluted cloud. There used to be a lot more ideological discipline. The conservatives back during the Vietnam War had a very strict party line. Hell, even during the Iraq War, right? It was pretty clear who was on the side of Bush, the Hawks, people who wanted to invade, and everyone else, you know, whatever you want. Green Day, the anti-Iraq War protests. It was understood what the lines were. But nowadays, you know, there are no fucking lines. You want to hear about feminism? Well, here's the loudest feminist in the world, okay? Her name? What's her face? J.R. Tolkien. No, not J.R. Tolkien. What the fuck am I talking about? J.K. Rowling. There. Oh, you like women's rights? There you go. Oh, what about Riley Gaines fighting intrepidly for the rights of biological women in sports? You know? You want to talk about the rights of black people? Well, hey, here's Candace Owens. She's got books on the Democratic plantation and how the bigotry of low expectations have kept black people in the dirt for so long. Or there's that black guy who wears shirts like, you know, Hunter Biden's on crack while waiting in an airport and looks up expectantly at all the white guys walking past to see if he can get a reaction. You know what I'm talking about, right? That bald guy who has like the baby, like the baby pug face kind of thing, where he's like so desperate for the attention of the people walking by. You know what I'm talking about. He was behind Trump in like every rally, you know? Blacks for Trump, that guy. There's no ideological unity. Libertarians ostensibly care about freedom from, government persecution. But every libertarian apparently is on the side of the Trump administration, bringing the military in to crack down on prior non-existent protests. UFC was like a dude guy thing. It wasn't like the stuck-up stiffs in Washington, but Dana White and Trump love each other, and they just attended the UFC rally 2 nights ago. There are no lines anymore. You understand what I'm talking about? The whole point is that everything has been blurred into an incoherent mess. And ultimately, the reason for this is that no matter what cause or aesthetic or medium you're talking about, all of them have been subsumed by capital. That's where the enemy is. In every single one of these, everything has been co-opted by capital. There's no such thing as independent music artists anymore. Not really. Not large enough that they make a difference, you know? Absolutely everything has been broken in line. Look at Hollywood, dude. Remember in 2016? When Trump won the first time, there were tons of Hollywood celebrities who were openly belligerent against him. Now, they're quiet. Why? Because the people who run Hollywood, capital owners, are aware of the fact that they won, and they might as well act like it. Blacklist people who speak out against Trump. You have celebrities who are apologizing for prior anti-Trump comments. The only counterculture they couldn't take from you is your ability to meet up with your neighbors. But nobody does that anymore because everyone's dating off, Hinge. Everyone's, talking to people online. Everyone's playing League of Legends. Yeah, I know that guy. Dorky ass. Close your mouth. I would say the closest thing to a counterculture is the LGBT community. That's not a culture, I'm sorry. That's a sexual identity, or a collection of sexual and gender identities. That's the problem. That's what I'm talking about. You're relying on that? That ain't it. Back in the 1980s, when people said the counterculture is the gay community, that meant something. There were like daily fucking raids on gay bars. The gay community was a coherent political bloc with real power.
Let me tell you what a privilege it was to be just a few miles away from here.
Let me get better audio.
Sheer demonstration of military power from the All-Americans. It's incredible. I wish every American, after preparatory fires and a
better audio.
Stand in that field and watch 6.
Better audio. Better audio.
When I get a chance to see.
Everyone's using the exact same audio.
It's incredible. I wish every American.
Yeah, literally every single place has the same audio quality. Sorry.
It doesn't matter the situation, whether he's meeting with foreign leaders, we're meeting in the Oval Office, or he's talking to soldiers. He's the same leader we know and love. He's laser focused on America first, on peace through strength, and on supporting our American warfighters and vets. You know exactly where his compass is. You know exactly what he believes. And what I tell troops when we travel across the world, and I've had a chance to meet so many of you fine Americans, what I always say, the message from our Commander-in-Chief is, he has your back. That matters. Let me tell you, I've been, not that long ago, in shoes and boots similar to yours. And when I was going on a mission, or I was about to take part in something that was uncertain, involved complications, the fog of war, all I wanted to know was that my company commander, battalion commander, brigade commander, division commander, and my commander-in-chief had my back when I had to do difficult things on behalf of the nation where politicians in air-conditioned offices don't understand and they want to second-guess. President Donald J. Trump has your back. So at the Defense Department, we're doing 3 critical things at his direction. Number 1, we're restoring the warrior ethos. We're getting back to basics. Standards, accountability, readiness, training, warfighting, lethality. We're not a college or a university. We're not interested in your woke garbage and your political correctness.
Yippee!
We're warfighters who close with and destroy the enemy on behalf of our nation when we come home to those we love, because we don't fight because we hate what's in front of us. We fight because we love what's behind us. That's what makes the American soldier different. So we're restoring the warrior ethos back to basics. We're also rebuilding our military. We'll have the first $1 trillion budget. You will have the best equipment in your hands to stare down the enemy. From multi-billion-dollar platforms to the best rifles to the best equipment to hypersonics and drones and fighters and jets, ships and carriers. Everything you need, President Trump will make sure you have. We're rebuilding the military after 4 years of deferred maintenance. And finally, we're reestablishing deterrence. Our allies know that we stand with them, and our adversaries know what we are capable of doing to them, so that we can maintain peace through strength. President Trump seeks peace. He wants peace. So do I. So do you. For our families, for our kids and our grandkids. But those who long for peace must prepare for war. And that's something the 82nd Airborne, America's 911, does every single day. So it's an absolute honor to be your 29th Secretary of Defense. You have my pledge that every single day our focus is on you and your mission and having your back. And you're about 1 minute away from hearing from your Commander-in-Chief, President Donald Trump. God bless you and God bless our nation.
They're so fucking boring, man. AC/DC gonna sue them? No, they're not. Infantry or Nazis? I wouldn't take the applause too seriously. You can bet your ass that they chose the pro-Trump people to be behind the podium. They 100% had a vetting process for that.
Donald J. Trump.
I went off beat.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Everything is so trashy all the time. All the time. Oh yeah, everyone play catheter spotting, by the way. He's had a catheter running down his left leg for a while.
From the lakes of Minnesota.
Jesus Christ.
Across the plain.
Just whenever you're done.
To Houston.
We'll never be done.
Hard.
Why do you think he has the catheter? Do you think it's just like a general old man thing, or like there's something specifically wrong? Broke his penis. Happens to the best of us. You were right about the vetting, by the way. Is this real? Everyone must be seated in the bleachers. Soldiers sitting in the bleachers are to be fit and not look fat. Soldiers in the bleachers will not be allowed to have water, so they must make sure they hydrate properly before. No colored patches. If any soldiers have political views that are in opposition to the current administration, they don't want to be in the audience. They need to speak with their leadership and get swapped out. Basically, they don't want soldiers in the audience rolling their eyes or shake their head in disagreement. I have no idea if this is real, but I choose to believe that it is. Just finishing the whole goddamn song? What are you looking at, man? He's having a Biden moment.
Wow.
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 That's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful sight to be with you in a place called Fort Bragg. Can you believe they changed that name in the last administration for a little bit? But we'll forget all about that. Well, we're going to forget all about it. I want to just say God bless the U.S. Army and God bless the USA.
Brave.
Great place, great group. I want to thank so many incredible soldiers and paratroopers, pilots, warriors for that awesome display of pure, unrivaled American military might. I just saw something that was crazy. You don't want to mess. I've been saying a long time, we have the best. Nobody even comes close, but they just gave me a display that you might be lucky not to see it because it's a little scary. It was beautiful to watch.
Uh-huh.
Let's hear it for the Army Special Operations and Command and the 82nd Airborne Division and the 18th Airborne Corps. What a show it was and what a show it continues to be. And Saturday is going to be a big day in Washington, D.C. You know, a lot of people said, we don't want to do that. I say, yeah, we do. We want to show off a little bit. You know, recently, other countries celebrated the victory of World War I. France was celebrating, really. They were all celebrating. The only one that doesn't celebrate is the USA, and we're the ones that won the war. Without us, you'd all be speaking German right now.
They want that, though.
Maybe a little Japanese thrown in. But we won the war. And we don't celebrate, but we're going to celebrate on Saturday, and we're going to celebrate from now on. We're going to celebrate our great achievements. This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. For 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies. There's never been anything like it. There's never been a force like this. And I rebuilt it. I gave you so much money for 4 years. It was crazy. And we just approved our largest budget for military operations, over $1 trillion. We've never even come close.
They are amped up back there.
But our army has smashed foreign empires, humbled kings, toppled tyrants, and hunted terrorist savages through the very gates of hell. Our soldiers do not rest until they win. You know that better than anybody. From June 1775 to June 2025, those foolish enough to challenge America's army have been met with unyielding strength, unbreakable spirit, and unstoppable, overwhelming force. Time and again, our enemies have learned that if you dare to threaten the American people, American soldier will chase you down, crush you, and cast you into oblivion. That's what happens, unfortunately. That's what happens. Doesn't sound very nice, but it's true, isn't it? The last sound you ever hear will be the dueling howl of Black Hawks in the dead of night, the thunderous boom of artillery fire, or the ferocious roar of a U.S. Army infantry brigade charging over the horizon. That brigade is going to charge like you've never seen before, and hopefully I can keep you out of that, but if I don't, you're ready. Is that right? If I can keep you out of it. If I keep you out of it, that's okay, but if we need it, you're ready. You know, it's called peace through strength, isn't it? Peace through strength. For our adversaries, there's no greater fear than the United States Army. They all fear us, and we have the greatest force anywhere on earth. You know, you read different stories that others are building and building and building. We have a force like no other. They said it would take 5 years to defeat ISIS. We did it in 4 weeks. 4 weeks. We let them go. Unlike other of your leaders, I let them go, and we had General Raisin Kane, who's now the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, because I liked him. He was a warrior. He was a great warrior, and now he's been rewarded for his incredible work. But they said it would take 5 years. We did it in 4 weeks. Someday I'm going to ask him to explain that one to me. But it was the television generals that said that. The real generals got out and fought, and nobody fought like them ever. But for the American people, there's no greater pride, because you are the righteous sword of American justice and the ultimate shield of
I'm just waiting for him to mention
freedom.
LA.
This week we remember that we only have a country because we first had an army. The army was first. In fact, the army was even before the country. You know that, right? 1 year before the country. After 250 years, we still proudly declare that we are free because you are strong. You are so strong. We're safe because you are brave, and America's flag will never fall because America's army will never, ever fail. Never going to fail. Every branch of the armed forces has played a critical role in protecting our nation, but no one has done more fighting, bleeding, and winning than the U.S. Army. Nobody's done that. The Army has earned more combat medals and more battle ribbons than any other service, and 70% of all of the medals of honor. We give away medals of honor all the time at the White House to incredibly brave people, but you have 70% of them. Army soldiers, and especially our Army paratroopers, truly go all the way. You know that expression, all the way. It's one of your beautiful expressions. As President of the United States, let me express my undying gratitude to our nation, for every soldier here today, for every veteran and their families, those incredible families that are with us and all across America, and for every patriot.
We really do need to, like, revoke democracy the next chance we get. We need reconstruction, the likes of which the world has never seen. I know this isn't new from me, but watching this and seeing this guy rile people up, like this guy, this like blob up on stage, this is what gets these hogs like shouting and jeering and stuff. The loudest applause you got from this crowd was when he said he didn't like DEI. Like, that's the kind of people we're dealing with. We're dealing with like animals, basically. If it's cruel to give them democracy, like you wouldn't let a dog choose what to eat. It would choose the chocolates, you know? Like they just shouldn't have a say in it. I'm sorry.
Who has worn the uniform over 250 years. Can you imagine that? We thank you from the absolute bottom of our hearts. Few places loom larger in Army lore than where we are gathered today. The one and only Fort Bragg. The one and only Fort Bragg. But remember, it was only that little brief moment that it wasn't called Fort Bragg. It was by the Biden administration, not Trump. I had nothing to do with it. We got it changed. We said, you know, I came here numerous times and everybody they kept saying Fort Bragg, Fort Bragg. I said, you know, it's not the name, but then I was making a speech. I said, what do you think I should call this place? Call it Fort Bragg. I said, Fort Bragg, how you doing? We won a lot of battles from this place, and that's the way it is. It wasn't even close. When Pete and some of the generals came to see me, I said, not even close, not even close. This is the home of the Green Berets.
What's he talking about? It was really dumb. Fort Bragg was a Confederate general, and then Biden renamed it Fort Liberty, and then when Trump won again, it got renamed Fort Bragg, but a different Bragg. I think a paratrooper. So they were like, yeah, liberal. We changed it back to Bragg, but not after the Confederate, which I don't understand at all, because like ideologically, the Republican Party has always been explicitly pro-Confederacy. So I don't know why they didn't just make it Braxton Bragg again, but instead now it's a different Bragg. I don't know.
The Sky Dragons and the All-American 82nd Airborne. We know what 82nd Airborne Division. This is where the GIs who won the Second World War learned to pack their parachutes and push howitzers and go right into those C-47s with lots of arms and push them right out those big, beautiful doors and wield their bayonets and pry the enemy from the hedgerows of the French countryside. France needed us badly. We were there. A lot of people needed us badly. They still do, maybe worse than ever. It was here in the soil that the Army forged the medal that held strong at Bastogne. It was here the mighty paratroopers earned their wings before they rained down death from above to liberate Sicily, Normandy, and even the Netherlands. That's right. We saved the Netherlands. Every inch of this base is steeped in the legacy of those warriors who have said with pride, "Sir, I trained at Fort Bragg, sir." That was pretty cool. And that is why we restored the historic name of this very, very special place. I don't know if it could be the same place. Fort Bragg is in. That's the name. And Fort Bragg, it shall always remain. That's never going to be happening again. And for a little news for the fake news back there, the fake news, ladies and gentlemen, look at them all. Oh, yeah, what I have to put up with. Fake news. What I have to...
I know we're all pretty used to this, but I actually think it's bad that active duty soldiers are like jeering the media. I think that's a little bad, in my opinion, you know? Having the soldiers just be like the same as a rally crowd.
Put up with, but they're all right. They've been very nice today. They were impressed with that display, I can tell you that. I think it took them a little by surprise, but for a little breaking news, we are also going to be restoring the names to Fort Pickett, Fort Hood, Fort Gordon, Fort Rucker, Fort Polk, Fort A.P. Hill, and Fort Robert E. Lee.
So, a second ago, a few people in chat were saying the Republican Party isn't explicitly pro-Confederacy. Would any of you guys like to amend your statements or issue a retraction? Out of curiosity, I'm giving you the opportunity to stand up and prove you're better than I think you are. They love the Confederacy.
We won a lot of battles out of those forts. It's no time to change. And I'm superstitious, you know, I like to keep it going, right? I'm very superstitious. We want to keep it going. So that's a big story. We just announced that today to you for the first time. They said, why didn't you wait till Saturday? I said, I can't wait. I got to talk to my friends here today. This is a record crowd. You know, you never had a crowd this big. That's an honor. You think this crowd would have showed up for Biden? I don't think so. I don't think so.
It's an army base. They're required to be there.
I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I want to thank so many great leaders here today, including Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, who's been great, by the way. Pete, thank you. Great. And he went through the wars, you know? Pete went through the wars.
Our enemies are so fucking retarded,
get through
man.
a very hostile group of people that I think really don't want to see America be great again, maybe, or something. But he persevered, and he got there, and he's doing a fantastic job. Great job, Pete. Thank you very much. Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Doug Collins, a fantastic man. Thank you, Doug. You're doing a great job. Doing a great, great job. Way, way up from the last administration, Veterans Administration. It's way up. You saw the recent poll. The people are happy. They weren't happy a couple of years ago. They were really happy 5 years ago. But it went downhill from there. We did so much. We got you medical. If you had to wait, if you had a delay at all, you go out to see a private doctor. We pay the bill. You take care of it. You don't wait for 6 months and end up getting very sick on something that could have been done with a little shot or a pill. We did that. Then they wanted to drop that. I said, we're not dropping it. But, Doug, I'm proud of you. I just heard some great things. Thank you very much. The Secretary of the Army, a really brilliant young guy, went to Yale. Can't have everything. Top student, Dan Driscoll. Thank you. Thank you, Dan. And we have your senators, Senator Ted Budd and Senator Tom Tillis. Thank you, fellas. Congressman Richard Hudson, Pat Harrigan. Where's Pat? Pat? Good, Pat. You're doing great. You guys are amazing. And we have the big brass, General Andrew Pappas. General, thank you. Thank you, General. Doing a great job. General John Braja. John, thank you. Great job. Thank you for today, John. General Greg Anderson. Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Weimer. And before going further, I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It would be burning today, just like their houses were burning a number of months ago.
Are there any cities left in America, man? I feel like we should be out by now.
Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California.
Jesus Christ.
As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. It's never going to happen. What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags with the aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen. Remember, millions of people were allowed to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted by stupid people or radical left people or sick people. But regardless, open border policy, the dumbest policy yet. I would say even dumber than men playing in women's sports.
You just the perfect segue right there. Just a phenomenal, threaded it together beautifully. That's art.
Transgender for everyone.
They love that.
Even dumber than that, they're hurling bricks and...
Democrats lose to this, by the way. Democrats not only lost to this, they're still losing to this. We're 6 months in, and the Democrats are losing to this just as much as they were when they lost the election.
Blocks at law enforcement. Did you see they're breaking up the sidewalks and the curbs? Breaking it up with big, strong hammers. These guys are professionals. These are not amateurs. They're breaking it up because they took the bricks away from them. They came in with bricks, red bricks, that they could throw at our military and at the police in L.A., who are very good, but they weren't aggressive like our soldiers. Our soldiers really were aggressive, but they all worked together.
The soldiers haven't done anything. The National Guardsmen haven't done anything. It was all LAPD. The National Guardsmen haven't done anything yet.
But they came in with bricks, they were taken away, and they had hammers. Oh, wow, how did that happen? And they're pounding the sidewalk. I said, what the hell is he doing? And he's breaking it up and making it into concrete bombs in a way, and they're...
Yeah. Yeah, sure, man.
Dropping them on our military. They're throwing them at our military. Pretty good arms they had, too. Hits guys right in the face. Big chunk of concrete, worse than a brick. They're taking them up to the bridges and they're dropping them in the cars that are going by. These are animals. But they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn.
Oh, he's watched my videos.
Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing.
Yeah.
1 year.
I also don't believe in the First Amendment. Be honest, should I be working on my Mandarin? I'm not gonna lie, dude. It does feel like the country is kind of cooked for a long time. Yeah. I don't really know what we're supposed to do about the Democrats being not just unproductive, but like actively, horrendously, at every opportunity, taking the worst stance possible. And the media being so complicit. You know, the media is so fucking complicit.
And we'll see if we can get that done. We're going to try and get that done. We're working with some of your senators. I know Senator Josh Hawley is very much involved. And I know the two senators from here. I think you guys, are you guys in favor of it? Boy, would this be a bad time for them to say no. I got you. I got those 2 votes. The agitators are throwing firebombs, Molotov cocktails, lighting vehicles ablaze. You saw all the cars that were burning, mobbing police officers and ICE officers who are the toughest people you'll ever meet, and they love our country, and they're getting really they want to stomp on them, but they're too tough. They don't allow it. And attempting to infiltrate and occupy federal buildings wearing armor and face shields. The best money can buy, somebody's financing it. We're going to find out through Pam Bondi. And
it's always, yeah, it's always Soros, it's always the Jews, et cetera, et cetera. When did they occupy a federal building? Has a federal building been... I don't even know what he's referring to there.
Department of Justice, who it is, they're already on it. Who's financing all this equipment? Very professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow...
It's so crazy how now we know for a fact that Trump is incapable of lying. So what really happened is that Miller just sat him down and said all of this, and Trump's just repeating what he heard. It's crazy. He's actually like the most useful idiot ever. No one has ever been as useful as Trump. It's phenomenal.
Allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy, and that's what they are. A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons, they came from jails from all over the world. They came from mental institutions. They were the leaders of gangs. They were drug lords.
More of a useful idiot than Hitler was? Hitler was way more in control of his regime than Trump. Trump, look, I don't know how much you keep up with the day-to-day. As far as I'm concerned, Trump is literally not a decision maker in the White House. I fully believe that. I fully believe he's just like a grandpa that waddles around and like all of his grandkids are clamoring at his feet, trying to like win his approval and affection and give him like little bits of information to use or whatever. I do not think he's present at all. Every day he says or does something that indicates he's not paying attention to what's going on. He just repeats information that he's heard, you know? He gets his info from Fox News. He was like that in his first term too, you know? Like, you could directly trace everything all of his talking points at a press conference back to 1 hour ago what Fox and Friends was saying. Like, it's a very... And he's only gotten more senile since then. They're making a fucking cartoon program for daily briefings. Yeah, they literally cannot get him to listen to his briefings. You know, he's listened to fewer daily briefings than any president ever by a huge margin. He's shown up for less than half of them. Less than half. He literally just doesn't care. He'll show up sometimes and everyone knows afterwards he hasn't paid attention. They're trying to get at him in images. That's not a joke. He doesn't read. He doesn't listen. He's got a fucking catheter in. No, he's not in the loop at all. And for that reason, he's not the real enemy. He's a symbol. He's a mascot, but he's not the actual enemy. Miller probably is. Symbols matter a lot, but he's not, like, making decisions.
Allowed to come into our country. Their countries threw them out. Their countries would bus them or drive them right to our border and say, go in there. You ever come back, we're going to kill you. And we got them, and we're getting them out of here.
Okay.
I want to applaud the courage and the strength of the incredible troops who are right now standing guard to protect federal property and personnel and uphold the supremacy of federal law. That's what they're doing. They're protecting our ICE agents. They're protecting...
So much for states' rights. Jesus Christ.
Protecting the police in Los Angeles. The head of the police in Los Angeles, a good man. I hear a good man, but he was actually saying we really did need this help. It had gotten away from them. It had long gotten away. And we gave it to them. Not only are these service members defending the honest citizens of California, they're also defending our republic itself. And they are heroes. They're in there, they're heroes. They're fighting for us. They're stopping an invasion just like you'd stop an invasion. The big difference is most of the time when you stop an invasion, they're wearing a uniform. In many ways, it's tougher when they're not wearing a uniform because you don't know exactly who they are. In Los Angeles, the governor of California, the mayor of Los Angeles, they're incompetent, and they paid troublemakers, agitators, and insurrectionists. They're engaged in this willful attempt to nullify federal law and aid the occupation of the city by criminal invaders.
Guys, I think that text we saw with the expectations for the people at Fort Bragg who are behind the podium, I think that text was completely free. I think that was true. You really think for an event like this they wouldn't pre-select to make sure the people behind the podium are ideologically in line? Absolutely. They're literally like cheering and booing on prompting. They've been given instructions. I see too many fat people. Well, that's just how life is these days, okay?
It is. They're invaders. No different. Their position is that the rioting will not stop unless ICE withdraws from Los Angeles and ceases the enforcement of federal immigration law. In other words, they came in here illegally. Many of them came out of prisons and jails, the most heinous people. They came from all over the world. They came from the Congo in Africa. They came from Asia. They came from the prisons of these places. They were put into the United States and allowed to stay here because we had a grossly president.
It keeps cutting out every few seconds.
Listened to whoever was operating the auto pen. And they allowed these people to stay. And by the way, I've known this guy for a long time. He was never the sharpest bulb.
Don't be surprised, by the way, if the white nationalist rhetoric gets a lot more pronounced soon. It's already extremely loud, but Stephen Miller lately has been tweeting very explicitly about it. Like a full, I think Charlie Kirk was as well, full ban on all third world immigration. We know exactly what they mean by that. Just this Monday, just yesterday, they rolled out the ban on immigration from a bunch of countries across, you know, Latin America, Africa, Asia. I think we can expect to see this ramp up significantly in the near future, you know?
But you know what he was? He wasn't a radical left lunatic. He never dreamt about open borders. He never said that when he was of sound mind, which actually was a very long time ago. So sad what they've done to our country. I will say that without question, however...
Just really quickly, because it's important to know where this stuff is coming from. It's essentially the only thing Stephen Miller is talking about America was invaded by illegal aliens. Americans voted to end the invasion. Democrat rioters are waging violent insurrection to overturn the election result, continue the invasion. This is basically every tweet of his over the past week or so. He's been doing like a dozen of them a day. Everything is insurrection. This is the language of insurrection. Your lies continue to stoke violent insurrection. Insurrectionist migrant mobs. Everything's an insurrection except for January 6th. The future the Democrat Party offers America is to be, in every sense of the term, a third world nation. Like, it's pretty obvious what he's saying. And I say it's pretty obvious because, like, when I started my channel, the alt-right on YouTube was using exactly the same language to describe exactly the same thing. And Stephen Miller was watching those videos too. It's not like this motherfucker wasn't watching Sargon of Akkad. He's the most, alongside J.D. Vance, he's the most, like, obvious, I grew up on internet 4chan Nazi content of the bunch, you know? So, insurrection mob. He's arguing with Gavin Newsom, having fun. He believes in hereditary IQ and that IQ gives you a bigger dick. Let me guess, he thinks lower IQ gives you a bigger dick. And that explains him. Anyway, I don't know how open they're going to get with it. I don't know how explicit things are going to get, but I think you can reasonably assume Trump isn't a white nationalist. Trump is racist, okay? Trump wants Mexicans in America so that they can make the tacos and sweep the floors, you know? He wants Jews in America so they can run his books, you know? He's racist for sure, but it's not that kind of racism. White nationalism is a very specific kind of racism. Yeah, I don't know how much Trump is going to be an appropriate vehicle for this kind of rhetoric. Excerpt from an NYT article. Yeah, I think I read this on stream, but this one is particularly good, I think. Mr. Trump has said that if it was up to Mr. Miller, there would only be 100 million people in this country, and they would all look like Mr. Miller. Yeah, Trump said that. That's not attributed, that's just straight from him. Trump probably doesn't know enough of what he's saying to understand the implications of that, but, you know. Charlie Walsh and Posobiec tweeted out the exact same thing. Time to ban third world immigration, legal or illegal. We've reached our limit and we have huge cultural, educational, housing, financial, and essential services problems to fix now because of it. We need a net zero immigration moratorium with the ban on all third worlders. Yeah. Stephen Miller, a Yarvanite. Stephen Miller is in that camp, but I think he's mostly of his own. Stephen Miller is a Nazi. I don't think he's like a stooge of a Silicon Valley billionaire. He might be on fine terms with some of them, though he hates Elon. But he's just a Nazi. It's not, you know, he has his own ideological grounding there, I guess. Miller's the worst. Yeah. Yeah, he pretty much is. Well, anyway, yeah, you can expect this stuff to ramp up pretty rapidly. I don't know. Any updates on the feud with Elon Musk? Elon and Musk and Trump have entered a steady truce. Elon has tentatively agreed to work further with the pedophile. Oh, did I say Elon and Musk? I'm tired. Elon and Trump. Anyway, we should probably finish this bit. At least this bit on the Los Angeles protests.
Are you seeing the financial numbers? We've now got the hottest country anywhere in the world. And 6 months ago, it was the coldest country. We're being laughed at all over the world. I was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE. We brought back $5.1 trillion into our country, and all three leaders, they're great leaders, all three said, you know,
is he done with the LA bit?
The big, beautiful bill. You've heard about it.
I think he is. I think he's talked about the LA bit. Okay, that's fine. We need to actually go look at LA. Hold on. Okay, what the fuck is going on?
European! Hey! You know what? Mexico's a great country. You should go back there if you like it. You're not. It's okay.
We have one attention seeker here.
It's all right. Calm down. YouTube.
This isn't even Los Angeles. This is Santa Ana, isn't it? You don't even know. You can't even tell the difference. You know how few tram lines there are left in Los Angeles?
I thought you came from Europe. I thought you came from Europe, bitch. Are you a You bought the fucking
This guy is wide with pride, man. This guy stands the fuck up. Can you imagine trying to take this guy down? No shot. USA with its cookie cutter cities? Wrong place to make that point, man. Santa Ana does not look like Los Angeles.
You didn't agree with our culture. You bought it. He didn't agree with our culture. That's why we're the new fucking world.
For president? Do you have any written records? Seek the truth and keep the faith. So hold on, I want to ask. No written records.
Remember how Trump was saying how aggressive the National Guardsman is? It's funny because, like, the guardsmen are way the fuck more chill than the police. The police have the mayor and the chief breathing down their necks, keep law and order, make us look good. The National Guardsmen here are just like, whatever. They're not attacking us. What are we gonna do? You know? I don't fucking care.
No calendars, no domestic agriculture.
We had a calendar.
Listen to this stupid shit for a second. I have to go piss, okay? Evaluate the arguments. Use your debate training.
Yeah, from Michoacan, okay. So is Michoacan where the Mexica were located, the Aztecs? Yeah, so you're different. Oh, you're different. Oh. See, and now you guys like to trick us. You like to trick us. See, I know about Mexico, and I know. I am white, but I know actually more about Mexico than you. Yeah, you do. Well, why don't you answer a question? Why don't you answer some questions? You can hardly speak English, so I don't think you know. No, I know. What? No, you can't. I can't understand you. I don't understand you. It's like some weird language, some pigeon English.
That's what I hear. He's talking to Donald Trump's dick. That's what he's talking.
Yeah, so there's more. Hey, have a good day, man. Go back to Mexico, bro. Go back to Mexico. This is our land. Go back to Mexico.
You know?
Remember the Alamo.
I actually really like the cut of this camp collar shirt. I need to wear it more often. Why don't I wear it more often? Who the fuck cares about the Alamo? This is such a fake LARP. What are you talking? Nobody, dude. Okay, I've known Texans. This is like a fake. He was talking about Aztecs while you peed. Okay.
See, that's the thing. There's just a couple white guys here, and look how upset you get. And yet we have to let in millions of you into our country. How is that fair? Hey, so aside from nachos, what has Mexico given this country? What have you invented? What have you given this country? What have you given?
He's so dysgenic, man. Look at him. Look at that face. Wait, it's that one guy from Channel 5 videos? He does look a little bit familiar. This one down here. Yeah.
In this country. You guys come.
And they don't like, you know, their parents don't like, but they spent 5 and 10 years to come through legally.
What was that? Wait, did I just... What the fuck is on this guy's arm?
We don't want it. We're from all kinds of countries.
We're being very clear. We don't want it.
He is like a hideous growth. Like a gigantic growth. Like a...
Cities in America anymore. We don't want it.
We're from all kinds of countries.
We're being very clear. We don't want it anymore.
And they don't like, you know, their parents are white, but they spent 5 and 10 years to come through legally.
Support who you support.
Yes.
So why do you have to degrade other people?
Why do they have to degrade us?
Well, I agree.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's
What
like,
the hell?
I'm not being rude to you.
No, I'm just engaging in a conversation. It's like, I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
I fully support your right to be here. Okay? But what I don't like...
He has illegal muscles. They've immigrated into his upper arm.
And I'm a taxpayer, so I'm just making that clear.
Everybody pays taxes.
No, but I'm a taxpayer.
By the way, the right thing to do if you're holding a protest is to ignore people like this. All of them are grifters looking to get attention, either for their YouTube channel or Rumble or whatever, or they want you to punch them because then they can get a lot of attention off that, or, you know, sue you or whatever. They're always doing this outside the LA Convention Center, you know, all the God hates fags type shit. That's what they do. You just call them ugly.
Hey, I'm gonna clarify this again. You know, hey, that's all fine that you're veterans. I'm a taxpayer. Neither did you. So you fought a war for Israel. You know that, right? You didn't fight that war for me. You fought that war for Israel. You fought that war for Israel. That's fine. You fought a war for Israel, not me.
Oh, he's far right. That guy's a groiper. If you're on the right but anti-Israel, it's because you're a Nazi, yeah. You could figure the groiper thing anyway, because they all try to grow that mustache. They do! They do! There are so many, like, dorky little neo-Nazis in their 20s who grow, like, little mustaches, because they all want to look like, I don't know, Andrew Ryan or something. They all want to have that, like, you know, austere Ayn Rand protagonist look. They're all pedos too. Well, I already said groiper, didn't I? All right, well, nothing's actually happening here. This is crazy. A Chinese person in the bottom 50% can afford more than a American in the bottom 50%. Yeah, I would be interested in observing this a little more. I'd want to learn a little bit more about this, about how this data was collected. But in a way, this wouldn't surprise me. A lot of poor Americans have negative assets because they're so in debt. And it wouldn't surprise me if American debt culture is a lot worse than Chinese debt culture. Like, American debt culture is really fucking bad. So it's possible that, like, even if a poor person in the United States on average has the ability to purchase luxuries, maybe like a phone. Well, no, not even. Doesn't China do a lot of debt slavery shit? Maybe. Well, yes, but, like, I wonder how that compares, like, numerically to where we're at, you know? What happened in 2008? I don't know. Probably nobody knows what happened in 2008. Yeah, I don't know. Chinese century. By the standards of this website, America is at the bottom relative to its peers. For the bottom 50%, not for everyone, in purchasing power parity, euros 2023, America is by far at the bottom here. The average Chinese citizen has twice the, wait, average income or wealth? Income or wealth. Those are very different. What are you like normalizing for both? What do you mean? I would want to investigate this more, is what I'm saying. Countries by median wealth. Yes, by median wealth, Americans are poorer than most of our contemporaries. Yeah. Once you average out currency-wise and what have you, yes, Americans are less wealthy than most of our contemporaries. That being said, there are some respects in which we come out on top. Namely, there are a lot of commodities that are cheaper in the United States. Being a global trade hub means that we often get, like, for example, groceries are quite cheap here. But even if groceries are cheaper here, the fact that, say, rent is so high in so many places in the United States means that you can go out to eat for a lot less money if you're in Spain, for example. Like when I went to Barcelona. Getting groceries is cheaper in America. But going out to eat for like a little breakfast or whatever is much cheaper in many places in Europe. American salaries are huge compared to other countries. I mean, this is median wealth per adult, so we're accounting for that. But this is also wealth, not income. In income, America is on top, for sure. Except for like Luxembourg or whatever. But we lose a lot of our money to, you know, wealth and health insurance and what have you. Isn't wealth more important? Well, it's a purchasing power parity thing, right? Like you have to evaluate the wealth and the income relative to what it costs to pay for things in a different country. Median is not mean. Yeah, but we care more about the median. Well, either way. Always forget how big Russia is. It is a big country. Europe is just a tiny little peninsula off the edge of Asia. I heard in Japan it's cheaper to eat at restaurants than to cook at home with groceries. In some cases, yeah, that's true. Eating out is very, very cheap. And it's not always easy to go to a grocery store. A lot of people just get their groceries from like little mini marts, you know, like a food mart. It's true. We do eat much too much meat in the United States. Oh, look, Kowalski. Well, I do have to go. Normally, I'm keen to go longer, but on this one day, I do have a prior obligation. I'm having fun with my friends. I'll read donos before I go, though. Sickening, I know. We didn't hear it? Oh, my mic didn't pick that up? I said I'm having fun with my friends. I'm hanging out. Moist Muffins, thank you for the $10. King Kerplunk, thank you for the 5. Really appreciate those. Taiga, thank you for the 15. Hypothetically, if the police radio frequency were to be interrupted during a protest, what do you think would be the best thing to broadcast to them? I don't think you're going to accomplish anything with that particular line, I'm afraid. This seems more like you felt brave typing it. Listen, okay? If you pull it off, okay, if you go wacky mode, I have no idea what you're looking to accomplish with that. But if you have any kind of technical competence in that field, you could probably get a lot more done by trying to organize with the protesters. Lumen Iris, thank you for the $5. Oh yeah, Curtis Yarvin article, yeah. Well, we might go over it at some point, or at least summarize it. Patches1, thank you for the very kind $10. Semi-Locon, thank you for the tier 4 sub. I really appreciate that. Vorse, that is true. Sake with a video donation, obviously, of course, as he wants. Thank you for the 5 tier 1 subs. This lives in my head rent-free whenever Trump does a speech. All right, let's see it. Will it be a comedy skip that I'll immediately ignore? I don't even need to play it. We already know exactly what he's going to say.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Never gets old. Male versus female gaze. What the female gaze really sees versus male gaze. What?
A few years ago, men were the left one, right? It's easy to realize when you see a morph like this, but a lot of men, at some level, think that a bushy beard, cauliflower ear, and a cool scar is going to make women more interested in them. But a great example of this. Most of you, men and women, will say this man looks both more manly and more attractive, and yet the only thing we've changed on him is to give him darker, lower, thicker brows. While there are some men with more arched brows, a masculine trait that women trickle head, and his roles and demeanor in him, and frankly, we didn't give him the trendiest hairstyle. However, women were 23% more likely than men to prefer him with hair, and a chi-square.
This is also Hitler shit, okay? We need to get over this, like, as a culture, all right? Asking people what they find attractive, like showing people, like, A card, B card photos, which one do you find more attractive, is worthless. In reality, what people find attractive matters only in the context of meeting a person in person, and that attractiveness is highly contextual, okay? If you ask guys, like, or if you go by, like, what guys rate as attractive based on their standards that they say they like, every guy likes a size 2 lady or whatever. Then you look at what guys actually prefer in their partners, and they like big squishy tummies and, like, asses they can play around with, you know? In real life, like, there's so much, like, fake fucking, like, hypothetical, you know, what people say they want versus what people actually want.
Square test of a man who looks as feminine as they do, but they'd also rather not date a man who looks insanely masculine. And this should be intuitive. Like, the most masculine face possible would look something like Jocko.
Hello, Jocko Willink.
Willink. We think he has a cool look, and many women will like it, but it's probably a bit too much for the large majority of women. Check out this cool graph from Barn.
I don't understand who this is for.
Dixon showing highest regarding face. Rather than doing stuff that'll just make you...
The funniest disconnect between what people are attracted to and what people think other people will be attracted to, for me, is when guys on social media get genuinely dumbfounded that women, on average, aren't super into, like, bodybuilders with 5% body fat or whatever. Like, when you can see people's veins on their abs. And then, remember that one post on Twitter that went, like, viral in a negative way? Where he was like, serious question, ladies. Why are you all dishonest? Why do you lie and say you don't find this attractive? And it was an image of a guy who was, like, dehydrated, 4% body fat, you know, that sort of thing. It's just people lighting him up from every end. Really, really, really funny. Victorious Gardenosaurus, thank you for the 5. Graffiti is art. True. Still alive, thank you for the $10. What, in your opinion, is the best response to people who like the deportations, even if they are kids that they deserve it if they are illegal? I'm running into this all over Reddit and such. Those are Hitlerites. You can't... There is... The best response is to shame them and, like, make them intolerable in society. Listen... The idea of the political process as it applies to policy is that you're supposed to argue in favor of or against policy. If you're arguing shit like, yeah, we should deport, like, people who have been here and have been working for 20 years and they've never committed a crime just because of, like, some hiccup in the immigration, like, legal process, like, they should be deported right now. Like, they don't value the deportation for any reason. They are not pursuing this policy because it's going to benefit anyone. Therefore, you can't argue with them on the basis that what they're doing is harmful. They like the harm. The point is the harm. So you're not gonna make an appeal on those grounds. They're Hitlerites. Zoe Spencer, thank you for the $5. Benjamin Gilbert Liff, thank you for the very kind $20. Election day today. Are you doing stream tonight for Baraka election? I have a prior obligation, but yeah, if you're in New Jersey and you haven't yet voted, you need to vote in your local election, okay? You gotta vote for Baraka. God help us all if he doesn't win. Heather with the $20. Thank you. I was in Seattle yesterday and was called an individual by a middle-aged white man, only to complain a minute later that he doesn't know how to call people anymore, and I'm mid-cis. I can't compare to Seattle trans girls. If a person lives in Seattle and they're whining about pronouns or whatever, I don't know how they even live in that city. I have no idea. I don't even know how they function here. Like, you're so behind. Do you live in, like, Bellevue and you're just down in Seattle for the fucking... for the water? I mean, what are you doing? They must just like getting mad. Nobody likes attention more than some old boomer fuck blustering over how they can't keep up with what the young people are saying these days. They love that attention. They love that shit. That's why they never shut the fuck up about it. Diego B, thank you for the $5. The Puerto Rican government is cooperating with ICE to deport immigrants. This is why the rest of the Latin American world sees us as losers. I don't know enough about the legal situation with Puerto Rico as it applies to ICE to really comment much on that, I'm afraid. Heather and still alive, thank you for the 5 both. Beavers are miraculous animals? Yes, they are. Imagine if Unspun only pretends to make new clothes, but they actually have Indian tailors in the back room. Actually preferable. Travis McKenzie and still alive, thank you for the 2 both. And Dominicus, Patrick Ward, brilliant demise, and Patrick Ward again, thank you for the $5 and New Zealand dollars. Thank you, thank you. We may be the most embarrassing country in the history. I don't know if we're the most embarrassing country in history, but if you match it up like per capita, like embarrassing relative to national power, we're the most embarrassing country in history for sure. 100%. Edgar Vasquez, thank you for the $10. Very kind of you. Tamim Nakayan, thank you for the $5. Can we get a shout out to the people of Maryland for electing Chris Van Hollen, lowering crime through social policy and fighting for the union? Well, that's a lot of things to give a shout out to the people of Maryland for without me maybe having the necessary context on everything you're talking about. For example, I don't know much about the lowering crime through social policy, but I do like it when crime is lowered. I like policy, especially pro-social policy. So you know what? Shout out to those people. Adlet Astria, thank you for the $10. I've been watching Daredevil, and it's really hard not to see the parallels between Trump's authoritarianism and Kingpin having every level of governance and law enforcement in his pocket. Finally, something that isn't Andor. You know what? Go you. No, I'll take it. I'll take any departure. It's technically Marvel, but it's not Andor, and it's not like Marvel Cinematic Universe. So no, I'll take it. I haven't seen the Daredevil show, by the way. Is it good? The only Daredevil media I've ever consumed is I saw the one, like, bad movie, and I read the Daredevil comic run Hell's Kitchen. You know? What was that comic run? It wasn't Daredevil Year One. What was it called? It came out in like the 80s. No one's read the fucking graphic novel. Whatever. New, thank you for the $2. Moisture, thank you for the $10. Do you genuinely think we should suspend democracy to prevent these hogs from voting? Listen, I genuinely think we need reconstruction in this country. I don't think you appreciate how fucked we are. Like, we are at every level of government and in the media, complicit with them at every level. We have people who don't just disagree on us with policy. Lots of people disagree on policy with me. That's not like the problem. They are literally traitors to the United States. They're anti-constitution. They're anti-democracy. They are destroying this country bit by bit. They commit crimes every day. They act openly against the interests of the American people. At a certain point, you have to acknowledge a fact. And the fact is that a democracy which cannot defend itself against attacks to the democracy itself won't exist for very long. Right? Like, past the point. So what happens if you have a system where a small group of wealthy oligarchs they buy up the media is in line with them, they buy up the politicians, and eventually, whether or not the public supports them, you know, in their policy, they just go ahead and they undo everything. They pull the thread. They unravel hundreds of years of democratic tradition, flawed as it may be, and turn this country into just another indefinite oligarchy. We could be like Russia forever. Any democracy that can't protect itself against this is not going to be a democracy for long, which is exactly what we're dealing with right here, the ultimate consolidation of capital power. So yes, to that end, yeah, we need reconstruction. For reconstruction, for a brief time, not nearly long enough, the South wasn't allowed to make decisions for itself. Do you think they should have been able to? After seceding from the United States and then declaring war on it? Do you think that the people who drafted the secessionary documents, who led armies against the United States, who killed American citizens, that they should have then been able to go, oh, we surrender. Anyway, back to running my senatorial office, back to running my state. No. I don't think so. Unfortunately, Reconstruction ended way too early. Lincoln was killed. But no, it's very, very clear that if the Democrats take power again, somehow in this environment, they're not going to be able to do anything, right? They don't have the political will. We're in very scary times. Very, very scary. Now, Gen Z Mom, thank you for the $10. Thank you, this was fun. I wish I was having more fun with these streams. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. 3 Fat Samurai with the $5. Here's a pic of my fat baby girl orange to boost chat morale. Ooh. Very cute. Very baby girl. Carstaroni, thank you for the $5. Hey, I got this really cool piece recently, a Swandry wool coat from the 70s, and I was wondering how you would style it. Oh, shit. That's a big question. Unfortunately, the Imager link that you provided doesn't work, so I can't answer it. It looks like it got cut off at the end. You can post it in chat if you want. I'll take a look. The Wise Autistic One, thank you for the $5. Would you say people growing their own food, not buying products from businesses, and participating in the government/military count as counterculture? No. Because that's not a culture. Like, if anything, you're talking about abstaining from culture. You're talking about removing yourself from, like, mediums of social engagement, right? Counterculture has to be a cultural force. It has to be, like, meaningful. How to style this? Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. I have no idea. This is this is like an Amarak almost. I have no idea. This my knowledge on clothing has not extended to pieces with this construction. I mean, this is clearly like meant to be a kind of overcoat. It's clearly it's like an anorak but without a hood. Military origins, I'm assuming. You say it's from the 70s? No, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'd have to think about it. That's a really cool garment though. Kowalski, thank you for the $5. Here's my tip for your hours of hard work. We're on track for a possibly 2017 level hurricane season. If FEMA's getting defunded, people need to prepare now. Well, hopefully Florida tanks the hits, so other states don't have to. God willing. Still alive. Thank you for the $5. Reply to my earlier super chat. I've just been calling them monsters pretty much. Is that good? I don't think you should call Trump supporters monsters because they like being monsters. Like when you call Nazis monsters, they get a little stiffy, you know? Because they get really excited because it makes them think they're like cool and powerful. I think you should call them stupid, like retard animals, basically. Which is true, you know? And they are weak, you know? Monsters are powerful, right? That's kind of how they're described, right? Tajirai, thank you for the $10. Hey, I caught some of the stream at work. I think the customizable textile thing is an obtuse attempt at the Back to the Future 2 scene where Marty's jacket and shoes resized to fit him or something. Yeah. Yeah, well, it's a solution in search of a problem, you know? Everyone likes the tech aesthetics, but we figured out how clothing should work a long time ago, okay? I tell you, you look at the way people were dressed back in the 1940s, 1950s, we've lost something important, but people have understood how to dress. Sergio Garcia, thank you for the very kind dollar. Xander, thank you for the $5. Boomers, so self-absorbed and entitled, they're never going to willingly give up power till it's obvious they're not competent. See Biden and Schumer. In fairness, Gen X politically is actually worse than the boomers, you know? They got the lead, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, true, yeah, but most of the Republicans that we're dealing with now are Gen Xers, right? Musk, Miller. Is Miller a millennial? Ugh, I don't know. Whatever, I've got to go. Oh. Ori, thank you for the £5. Brit here watching American politics with a horrified curiosity. You listen, okay? Reform is going to win next election, motherfucker, okay? I'm not... Maybe, not necessarily, but maybe. Just you wait, you piece of shit. I'm kidding. We're all allies. Solidarity across borders. Do you think it may be selection bias? Maybe the fits from the 50s you see is because they're good? No, people objectively dressed better back then. You can see old video footage of people just walking around New York City. Random working class people objectively dressed much better back then. At least with regard to tailoring. Obviously, aesthetics are subjective. I have nothing against people dressing in like streetwear or more contemporary styles. But in terms of the fit of the clothing, to the extent that that can be evaluated, people did dress better back then. God, compare the way people wear suits today to back then, and nobody thinks modern suits look better. Nobody does. It's not a stylistic change of taste. You look at people from the 50s, and you're like, all right, look at this, and then look at this. Which do you prefer? Everyone agrees back then people looked better. It's just nobody knows how to recreate it. Why? Because we don't fucking pay the tailors. We don't do bespoke tailoring anymore. Used to be you could walk into a Brooks Brothers. You could walk into a Macy's, and you could get help. I'm not doing this rant. I've got to go. I love you guys. Take care. I'll be here tomorrow. Lots of stuff to talk about tomorrow. Just today's the day. I'm gonna only do a little stream, just the tip, just a little bit of a stream. Okay, but tomorrow there'll be more stream. I love you.